What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. Stream it up over there. You got your smart devices, smart speakers, the app, download it and take it out. And of course, the video stream is also up and rolling on Facebook and YouTube here this morning. But what's up, everybody? Hopefully, you're all off to a absolutely fantastic start on this Thursday morning. What do we got on our game plan for us this morning? What do we got on the docket here? Well, stayed up late last night to watch that whole Brewers game. That stunk. Brewers getting blown out 13-2. 13-2 last night. Giants putting up 8 runs in the first 2 innings, 4 apiece in the first and second inning there. Not a great outing from Colin Ray. Usually probably his worst outing of the season, getting charged in just 4 innings, getting charged with 10 earned runs on 11 hits, giving up 3 long balls last night too. So Brewers dug themselves into a bit of a hole and not able to get out of it. But little bit of slimmer or a little slimmer of good news, if you will. There is a little bit of a positive side to it. At least the Cubs lost, so the magic number did go down for the Brewers last night to clinch the division. It is down to 8 games, down to 8. So Brewers though will try to win this series. Final game of this series tonight at 8:45. Frankie Montas is going to be on the mound for the Crew. They'll try to win this series and continue to lower that magic number down. Then you got the big weekend series going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks before the Brewers return home for that series that begins on Monday against the Philadelphia Phillies. So, yeah, we'll talk some Brewers. I love kind of like one of the phrases coming from the game last night. Flush it and move on, and it might be just one of those games. You know, we talk about once in a while. It's like, hey, you just throw out the tape, throw out the tape. But yeah, not a good night for Colin Ray, and easily probably his worst outing of the season. So, but we'll talk some baseball, kind of go through where everything's at in terms of playoff standings and such, and kind of look at where everything stands with just a couple weeks left to go here in the regular season. So, I was reading a little bit earlier this morning, uh, MLB.com that had the most encouraging performances of the season for each team, and for the Brewers on here for the Crew, they listed no big surprise Jackson Cheerio. I think I would agree with that, wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't you? Or maybe you're thinking about some of the other pitchers. I know recency effect. You're probably not thinking pitchers right now because of what Colin Ray's performance looked like last night. But I think I would agree with that, don't you? So we may add that to a little receiver defer. But receiver defer coming up around 7:40, 7:45 here this morning. We'll throw a little green and gold talk in here too. Packers returned to practice yesterday. Everybody practiced except one person yesterday, and that was Jordan Love. Everybody else practiced. Matt LaFleur continues to leave that door wide open for Jordan Love to play. He said, "quote I'd say it's pretty open, but at the same time, he's got to be cleared." Said Love has to be able to protect himself. Also said Love doesn't need to practice in order to play. Malik Willis was talking a little bit with the media yesterday. Said that Love is getting his mental reps. He's preparing to play. We're just preparing ourselves if he can't go. Just making sure that whenever my number's called, I'm ready. Whether Jordan can go or he can't, just try to be ready. So I think we still have our doubts whether he's going to play or not, but I mean, they're still throwing it out there as a possibility. Again, is it baiting the Colts a little bit, trying to make them do some double duty and preparation and such? I don't know. That's where I guess I would feel like that's the case. But hey, maybe Jordan can kind of give everybody a surprise. I will say this though, Jordan's going to get a lot of Q points, like favorability points if he suits up and goes out there and plays, because I think there's still portion of the fan bases out there that maybe not Jordan Love fans. And you talk about Brett Favre, you talk about Aaron Rodgers playing through injuries and such. Well, that would notch a belt, or that would notch something on Jordan Love's belt if he goes out there and doesn't miss any time and plays on that knee. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out this week and such. So we'll throw a little football talk in there. We've got games tonight. Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills. So don't forget to get your picks in our Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge right on our website, sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the Fan Cave tab. You guys know it. If you were making picks, scroll all the way down to the bottom there. Sign in and make your picks. So, but it should be a good one. I would think Thursday night, right? Little AFC East battle between two teams that are going to be competing for the division. Got the speed of the Dolphins, the Bills. Obviously, a little bit under of a makeover with no Stephon Diggs on the offensive side of things, but still Josh Allen over there. So, should be a good game, I would think, tonight, right? We'll talk with Mr. Jake Boakes coming up at about 8:30 for our outdoor tidbits. Hey, opener of bow season coming up here. So if you got any questions before you hit the woods for the opener of archery season here in Wisconsin, text those on over, all right? No question's a dumb question. Text them on over on our Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. If you got any questions, whether it is leading up to the opener or anything else outdoors related, let us know if you got that question. Now's your time to ask it a game warden, a DNR warden question, and get some answers over there. So send those. The best way again is via the Shoe Doctors bullpen text line over there. We'll throw some college football talk in here too as we continue to preview the Badgers and Alabama, the Crimson Tide. So we'll continue that game coming up in just a couple of days here on Saturday. So anybody willing to pick Wisconsin, realistically picking Wisconsin in this one. But man, Wisconsin wins this game on Saturday. How does the expectations not change for the rest of the season? I mean, Wisconsin, then you're kind of in a driver's seat to really maybe control your destiny. I mean, you beat Alabama, then you got to bye, then you got USC. There's another chance for you to really, because I got to imagine they beat Alabama, they're going to be in the rankings by the time they play USC, and then you go to USC, you win that one, then USC could be a top 10 team at that point. You beat two top 10 teams at back to back. Man, maybe you climb up really high. Gotta imagine you'd climb up really high in the rankings over there, but. Yeah, one game at a time, right? One game at a time. So, but we'll talk a little bit more college football and take a look at that game coming up here Saturday morning, 11 a.m. kickoff. So, anybody going down that game, make sure you make Camp Randall, get to the stadium, pack it up, and fill it up with Cardinal Red, and make that a loud environment. All right. So, otherwise, we got the Blue Golds opening kickoff this weekend too at Carson Park over at 1:00. So, what else are we going to throw in there? We got a little throwback Thursday. We'll hit up just past 7:00. So we'll get to that. Talk a little throwback Thursday with y'all. But what's on your mind? All right, you got something you want to talk about? You got a topic in mind? You got a question? Whatever the case may be, send it on over. All right, join in on the conversation. It could be on the video stream or on that texting line or on social media. But let's talk a little Brewers baseball to open up things here this morning. Brew Crew falling badly to the Giants last night. It was a struggle right away for Colin Ray. 8 runs in the first 2 innings, 4 apiece. Colin Ray's ERA heading into this game was a 3.72. Afterwards, jumped up to a 4.21. allowed a career high 10 earned runs and 11 hits in over just in 4 innings. So now this wasn't the biggest loss in terms of like run differentials by the Brewers. That was in the Yankees against on April at the end of April there when they lost by 12. But nonetheless, at this point in time, when you're into the final couple weeks of the regular season here and you're trying to gain some momentum and clinch that playoff spot there, don't want too many of these games here, especially when we've been kind of looking at the offense here. Maybe in the last few games, a little bit of a lull here. So, but we'll go through some of the comments from Pat Murphy and some of the players like Colin Ray after last night's loss, and take a look at tonight's game where the Brewers could still win this series before they head to Arizona for what should be, I think, a very interesting and a fun 3-game series and a big 3-game series. Now, not to overlook the Giants or anything like that, but I want to put this. We mentioned it yesterday, that stat of the Brewers being the best yesterday in terms of a winning record against teams over 500. We're going to put that to the test now starting tomorrow. Again, not to overlook this game. I want them to win this game and win this series. But that stat, that number is going to be put to the test starting tomorrow with you got Arizona, then after that, Philadelphia, and then 4 more games against Arizona. So that'll be a good test to see actually if the Brewers, number one in teams with a 500 or better record. We'll see how that holds up over there. But let's take our first break and then we'll get things rolling here this morning, shall we? All right, the leadoff coming up here. We'll talk some Brewers. We'll throw a little green and gold chats in here at the back end of the hour too. Does anybody believe in this that Jordan Love could potentially play this weekend, or you think it's more of a baiting the Colts by Matt LaFleur? with the bow opener coming up, it's about time to start thinking about, hey, if I am lucky out in the woods or the field and I do get that deer, where should I take it to get processed? Don't stress yourself. Just drop it off at Mike's Star Market right here on the west side of Eau Claire. Go to their Facebook page, Mike's Star Market, and they've got all the pricing up there, depending on what you want done. All right, so don't stress it. Don't figure out where you should take it, where you got to go, and all that. Mike's Star Market will be easy for you, and plus, you know you're going to get a quality product backed with Mike's Star Market. So custom venison and other game processing all at Mike's Star Market. And if you stop by on Saturdays over at Mike's Star Market, stop in Saturdays to the end of November. You can sample some of their sausages. They will vary each week. What's available to try from sticks, summer sausage, bologna, and more. You can check out their variety and get your info into their computer program and ask questions about pricing or procedures, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, you can check out all the pricing on their Facebook page. But if you are lucky this weekend or any point now with deer season coming up here, with the bow season or in rifle season in November, you can take your deer on over to Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. All right, we'll begin things this morning. If you're like myself and a lot of people out there, late night last night watching the Crew, but wasn't a great game to watch either. Brewers falling 13-2 last night, falling into a hole early on, 4 runs apiece in the first and second inning. Colin Ray, not a great performance from him. Easily his worst start this season. Just 4 innings of work, 10 earned runs, giving up 11 hits, 3 home runs as well. But the Brewers dug themselves into a deep hole and not able to get out of it. 17 total hits for the Giants. Blake Snell also going 5 innings, just giving up 1 earned run, striking out 8 to get his 3rd win of the season. Brewers, though, they got a little bit of help last night thanks to the Dodgers. Dodgers defeating the Cubs, which lowered that magic number down to 8 for the Brewers. The Brewers just 8 games away from clinching the division. Reminder, that's a combination of wins by the Brewers and losses by the Cubs. So magic number down to 8 right now for the Brewers. They will try to win the series against the Giants tonight. Again, it's another late one. 8:45 first pitch. Frankie Montas is going to be on the mound for the Brewers to try to secure this series win. And then they begin a weekend series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the Brewers will put that statistic that we were talking about yesterday, put it to the test, being the best team in the National League against teams with a 500 or better record. Well, you got the Diamondbacks, and then you got the Phillies, and the Diamondbacks for another 4 games after that. Back to last night's game. Pat Murphy kind of talking a little bit about it, saying it's one of those flush it and move on type of games here. Colin Ray talking about his performance too. Kind of felt like timing-wise, they were on everything. Just seemed to me like they were on time for a lot of stuff, but for the most part, you got to flush it and move on is the best way to approach it. Colin Ray also saying, I've had outings like this before, and you have to move past it. Murphy saying Colin hung in there and gave us 4 innings, so we didn't have to go into our pen any deeper. He didn't have his great stuff, but he's done so much for us that I'm confident he's probably a little worn out, like a lot of the guys are, but there's no time for that. He will bounce back. And that's something we kind of talked a little bit about yesterday. With no off days in here, it'll be interesting to see, how this pitching staff and the bullpen can kind of get through this 13-game stretch with no off days on there. Hopefully starters can go a little bit deep so they don't have to use a lot of their bullpen guys, but at least they have some options coming out of their pen where guys can give you a couple innings like a DL Hall or a Joe Ross, or I know Bryce Wilson's on the injury list right now, but they've got other guys that can give you at least a few innings of relief if they have to go in there. Jake Bowers ended up finishing up stuff last night for the Brewers in there, so they didn't have to use a pitcher over there. But Brewers, again, will try to at least secure a series win with a W tonight. So, other than that, they're still 8.5 up on in their division against the Cubbies right now. But Cubs, I mean, they were in another kind of dogfight last night between themselves and the Dodgers. Dodgers able to squeak it out. That series has been nothing but runs scored galore between the two teams over there. So, but at least the Dodgers able to pull that one off, a 10-8 victory for the Dodgers to allow the Brewers to lower that magic number just a little bit over there. So, morning, sir. You gonna join us over there? You gonna play your
I've
solitaire?
been waiting for you, but and the thing is, people say, "Oh, 13-2." Hey, let's not jump off a building. Remember what you said last Thursday was their magic number?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that number?
No, but I'm sure you do.
20.
That was last Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And here we are to 8.5. That's how fast it can come down. All you got to do, you don't have to win every game. All you got to do is win a few. I mean, like last night, I'm sure not going to lose any sleep over what happened last night. I mean, that happens to every team.
Mm-hmm.
But, they went from 20 to 8.5 in a week.
Or eight right now, yeah.
Or 8, whatever it is.
They're up 8.5 in the division, but 8, magic number. So
the magic number is 8. But, I mean, so there you go. That's how fast that number can come down. So I don't think anybody better get in any kind of a panic and read in anything in last night's game.
No. I think the one thing, though, I do want to start to see here with this team with, less than 20 games to go here, start to get that momentum when you get into the postseason by winning some of these games. Just that I want to start to see that come. I don't want them going in limping, if you will. We've seen that too many times.
Well, and I don't know how I saw the start of the game and I said, well, this is over for the Brewers. And I don't know if Murphy then sat some of his regulars for the rest of the game, let them rest, and then they go against Arizona, but give them a little time off because I'm not worried so much about the pitching as I am the offense.
Right, and that's kind of the group that's in a little bit of a lull right now, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what I felt. Give them a little rest if you can. Take them out in the third or fourth inning and let some of these young guys get in there, get the feel of the game, and give these guys a little rest and maybe catch their breath or whatever the case may be. But I'm more concerned about the offense than I am the pitching. I'm concerned about the pitching, but not as I am the offense. They just, they haven't put up 7, 8, 9 runs. They've been 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 2. It just hasn't been much output. Man, I think they need to get back to some of that.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I'd like to see a little bit more from the offense, from what we've seen thus far in these last few games here. That's kind of where I want to see that momentum starting to get going here a little bit here, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I hope nobody's. How many games are we through this thing now? 100 and whatever it is at this point. Freaking out right now after one game last night. So, and Giants right now, they're kind of in that spoiler role. That's what's dangerous. We've seen it in football, we've seen it in basketball or baseball. When you go, and it was like that before the trade deadline when we found out teams that were going to be sellers and they kind of play a little loose. Those are the more dangerous teams.
Oh, no question about it.
When they've got like nothing really to play for. And I know the Giants are probably still trying to get into a wild card thing here, but I mean, they're pretty far back here at this point. But when you got those lower expectations towards the end, that's when guys start to play a little bit looser and they're a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, they're relaxed. They got nothing to lose, so they'll take some chances. And I think at this point in time, that's still the way the Brewers should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion they're going to win the division. So go out and, have some fun, try a few things. I don't know what their attitude is now. I don't think they're in any kind of a, getting clenched up and tightening up at all like that. But I think they can still get on a run here as they get into the postseason. This series against Arizona, I think because of what Arizona did to them last year in the playoffs, and Arizona, the last, 6 weeks or so, has played really good baseball. I think this is a big series, though.
Mm-hmm.
It won't determine the outcome of the division, But I think it's a big series just for the Brewers' psyche.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that too. I mean, there's still a lot of guys that were on that team from last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that postseason series there, and when you look at it,
and that was disappointing last year against Arizona. I mean, starting with Corbin Burnes, who wasn't there. I mean, Corbin Burnes, the game he pitched to start that series was, wow, major disappointment. So I think they want to flush that out of their mind too.
Right. Right now, Arizona is the top wild card team in the wild card chase there. 82 and 64 overall. You got the Padres right behind them, 82 and 65. The Mets are now the final wild card team. They're one game ahead of the Atlanta Braves. So again, if the postseason started today, the Brewers will be taking on the Mets here. And because of last night's run differential, the Brewers are no longer the number one team in all of Major League Baseball with the highest run differential. They are now tied with the Phillies and the Yankees for that top spot there. So, but it is what it is at this point. So,
I don't think most people, I don't anyway, and I think I'm a typical fan. I don't care about that. I'm just.
I like that stat. I think it's an interesting stat in terms of, it tells. I like it more. I'm not saying it's a tell-all. I like it in terms of, well, it tells you, kind of a little bit how your offense and your pitch. I mean, if you have like a 0 run differential, it tells you you're playing in probably a lot of 500 ball or something like that.
No,
too.
I understand that, but I think just for an average fan, all I care about is their win-loss record and where the teams are in their division and their win-loss record. I know that it's interesting to look at those numbers, and they'll tell you a lot of why a team is where it is in the standings and all those sorts of things. But for an average fan, and I know you're not an average fan, you're on top of this all the time. But
I think it's interesting in terms of it tells you a little bit about how the offense has been playing all year long, which is, I think, it's a surprise. They're actually putting up runs.
Yeah, the offense has been good. I've been to, I don't know, 3-4 games, and every game I've been to, I mean, they've hit the ball. They've done some good things just lately where they're kind of slowing down a little bit. And like you said, now they're back in a tie. So the numbers do tell a story.
Yeah, it still kind of boggles my mind that they're the top team in the National League with their record against teams with a 500 or better record. So they've got the best record with teams that they're second overall behind the Yankees.
I wonder,
Major League Baseball.
But what about teams under 500? Like losing that series to Colorado and things like that. That's the thing. You can't play down to your opponent's level. And
I can do some quick math.
They've done some of that recently, losing that series to Colorado. Now I don't know what they're going to do against Arizona, but Arizona, as you just said, is the top team as far as a wild card. So that means they've got to have a pretty good record. So Brewers are just as likely to go in there and win that series, maybe even sweep that series. That's kind of the way their season has gone. They've kind of.
I think they're 11 games over. Yeah, 11 games over. My math's right. So they're very similar.
Is it?
Yeah, it's very similar. They're 10 games over 500 against teams over 500, 11 games over 500 with teams below 500.
I think that's interesting because I'm surprised, but you don't have a record like this if you're under 500 against very many. I mean, they've got a nice record this year. There's no question about it. They're going to win more games than I predicted earlier in the season, and I don't mind saying I was wrong. I underestimated what some of these guys were going to do.
And I think when you compare it overall to rest of Major League Baseball, 83 wins and that, there's no team with 90 wins yet.
Oh, really?
There's not a team with 90 wins yet.
I thought there was. I thought Philadelphia had 90 wins.
They got 88. They've got the most right now. But, American League, the most is 84. Brewers are sitting at 83. So, I mean, when you kind of compare it to overall there, it's like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, it's actually, it's not one of those like, yeah, Brewers are third, but, and, you look at the other teams, how many games, it's comparable to across the league, which I think it's kind of surprising. We're not going to get, unless somebody goes on a run maybe here, a 100-game winner this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I'm assuming Philadelphia is probably going to get in the mid-90s or close to it, depending on the run. Maybe the Brewers could slow them down next week. That would be awesome. But yeah, we at this point with Brewers with like 17 games left to go, and I know everybody's a little different. We don't have a 90-game winner right now, and
And
I'm
we're
good
not
with
gonna
that.
doesn't sound like we're gonna have a whole lot of them either.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah, I have no
Parity
problem.
and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
exactly, yeah.
So everybody's kind of in there. So I like it. I like it. So, but it's definitely I don't want to overlook this game tonight, but I'm really anxious to get going with this series starting against Arizona, then coming back to play Philadelphia and then Arizona for 4 more too. I'm really anxious for those games.
Yeah, I am too. What's the Cubs schedule?
The Cubbies.
Who
Let
they've
me
got? They've been in LA against the Dodgers. Now are they
they've been
going
played well.
are they going yeah, they have. Are they going to San Francisco? Are they gonna play the Angels, Seattle? Where are they coming home?
They're making their way back, but they've got a weekend series in Colorado, which I mean, with the way their offense was playing in Los Angeles, they might want to play in Colorado with the way that ball
Yeah,
carries out over there.
exactly.
And then they come home where the vaunted Athletics will be awaiting for them to begin next week. And then after that, it's the Nationals, for crying out loud here. Looking for at least a good series here coming up. Phillies then the 23rd, Monday the 23rd. But that's kind of their upcoming schedule right here now for the Cubs. If they want to make that run to try to get into the wild card, schedule favors them, I think,
Oh,
coming up here.
absolutely. Absolutely.
They want to make that push. They want to try to put some pressure on it. Easily favors them.
And I think their pitching staff is pretty healthy right now.
Hmm.
They've got some nice arms in Chicago. They've had some challenges during the year to keep them all healthy, but I think for the most part, I haven't followed them real close. But when I see the ticker of results of their games and I see the guys that have been pitching, they're getting their aces back.
They're currently right now 5 games back from wild card. I know that's still quite a bit here, but I mean the Mets, who are in that final wild card spot right now, they play the Phillies at Philadelphia. Atlanta, who's above them in the wild card chase, they now play the Dodgers. So I mean the Cubs have a chance if everything goes their way to maybe make a little bit of a push and make things a little bit more interesting to try to get in that wild card chase.
Now, obviously, they're not quitting because Bellinger is really coming on and having a good end of the season here. But they've got, Dansby Swanson was horrible all year long, and I think he's starting to play up to his contract. And they got a few other guys. Ian Happ has always been a good player. They've got some good players over there. It's just a matter of can they all play well at once? And Bellinger is starting to lead that team back.
Mm-hmm. Uh yeah. All right. Tell you what, let's take a quick break here. We'll regroup here a little bit. We'll talk a little green and gold coming up a little bit later on. Funny, Dr. Crow's texting me right now about Jordan Love too, so I don't know if he's listening right now. But
Now
obviously,
that's an interesting situation. Is he or isn't he? How hurt is he?
is it a gamesmanship sort of
Yeah,
thing going on?
exactly.
So we talked to Rob Demovsky earlier in the week, and he thinks it's gamesmanship going on right now. So, but Matt LaFleur yesterday saying the door's pretty wide open for Love to play this weekend. Been pretty quiet other than that. We haven't seen him and haven't heard from Jordan Love or anything like that. But let's take a quick break. Then we'll finish up the first hour here too. Talk a little green and gold. Talk some more Brewers baseball as well. Plus, big game for the Badgers coming up on Saturday. Alabama coming to town. youth leagues, youth teams, sports teams out there, if you're looking maybe to get some new swag, some new jerseys, some new equipment, or maybe setting up an online shop to sell some apparel, hey, Residence Branding Company can help you out with that. Just check them out. They're located in Altoona over there. Actually, the direct at 1728 Spooner Avenue, Suite C in Altoona. But they can help you out setting up an online shop to maybe sell some apparel for your youth leagues. Or if you're a team or a league looking to update your jerseys and pants or anything like that. I was just there the other day and they were showing me some of the new baseball pants they got going over there for some teams over there. It's some sweet stuff over there. But if you're looking to upgrade some of your uniforms and that, Residence Branding Company can help you out. G-Man asked this, but I already think I know the answer. You're not going to the game Saturday, right?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So don't regret it.
No, well, I'd like to go.
Yeah.
I'd like to go see
Mhm.
Alabama, see them in person.
Mhm.
But I got other things that I've got to get involved in, so I'm not
Right.
going to be able to go.
We had Colton Bartholomew on yesterday, who covers the Badger football team for the Wisconsin State Journal. If you missed that, that is up online on our website to check it out. And I know a lot of talk has been, the first couple weeks of what we've seen from this team. Were you at the game against South Dakota too?
Yep.
Okay. A lot of people were like, okay, are they holding anything back or is this kind of what it is? He believes they're kind of not opening up the playbook from what he has seen in the offseason and practice and that. He feels like that we haven't seen everything yet offensively. I hope he's right.
So do I.
I hope he's right.
So do I.
So and maybe we'll see that get opened up here a little bit on Saturday against Alabama.
The thing that really has me concerned, well, there are a couple things maybe that have me concerned about this team going up against a team like Alabama. Team speed.
Mm-hmm.
This team is slow again. I don't know why these coaches can't recruit speed. They just do not have speed. You expect your wide receivers, defensive backs, linebackers to have some speed. There is really not much speed at all, and that's what I'm afraid Alabama is just going to run away from them.
Mm-hmm. I'm worried about the Badgers' defensive line and front
absolutely.
and all that too.
Well, I've got a list. If you
Oh,
want
okay. A list
and
of
the thing is, like on offense, if you've seen the Badgers play, it's zone blocking, and this offensive line isn't good zone blocking. You gotta hit them quick. They got to be able to chip block and drive block, and they can't do that. And the quarterback handles the ball, brings the ball back. They're snapping him into, quarterback's not under center, and he's handing the ball off to the running back who's standing next to him. Well, that takes time, and these linemen can't hold that block against Western Michigan and against South Dakota. So what are they going to do against Alabama? I mean, Alabama guy might be there to get the handoff faster than the halfback, or a running back. So, I'm really concerned about team speed. Really am.
Yeah. So I hope they got something up their sleeves because if somehow Wisconsin pulls this off, that changes the whole outlook for the rest of the season, in my opinion.
Well,
It kind of puts you in a driver's seat a little bit to control your destiny.
Well, if I was a gambling man, and at this point, it's 16 and a half is
16, I think we saw yesterday. Yeah. So
if I'm a gambling man, I'm putting the ranch on that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see how Wisconsin's going to stop Alabama, and I don't see how Wisconsin's going to score. And it's not going to be a 15-0 game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Alabama is going to be in the 40s. If they're not, I'll be very much surprised because, like I said, I hope they're holding things back because the play of the first two games was not good.
Mm-hmm.
They just never got on top of either one of those teams and just wore them down. And that's what I kept thinking. Well, South Dakota, they're not going to have that good a line or that many good players in the line. They hung with Wisconsin's line. Wisconsin's line's just not been what we're used to. So I'm really concerned about this Alabama game. I really am. I just hope they don't get utterly embarrassed at home.
Yeah, me too. If you like a little history, which I do, Colton has a nice piece up too, where he went back in the records and looked at the last time Alabama came to Wisconsin to play, and it was almost 100 years ago. So it's
really?
Kind of I love old school football, two-way 60-man, 60-minute men and all that. It's a cool story, and he kind of talked a little bit about it yesterday too. 1 week that their guy who was playing quarterback against Alabama, he's playing running back, sort of stuff like that. So it's a cool little history nugget over there for sure.
Yeah,
So,
football has changed, that's for sure. And it's to the point now of all these teams in the Big Ten, but it's really a have and have not conference now.
mhm.
In fact, Southeast Conference, same way, because the schools that have, like, in Oregon's got all kinds of money, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Southern Cal. I mean, they've got money and they've got breeding grounds for football players.
Mhm.
Wisconsin, Indiana, Purdue, Illinois, even Iowa. Iowa has good high school football, and they keep their players at home, which why we can't do more of that, I don't know. But it's sad because I think the heyday of Wisconsin football, I hate to say this, I sure hope I'm wrong, but I think the heyday of Wisconsin football is behind us.
Oh,
I'm really that worried about the structure of college sports now, college athletics, and maybe basketball too, because we don't have the money to compete the way some of these other schools do.
yeah. For basketball, I know we'll probably talk about more when we get there. But I don't know if optimistic's the right word or curious, but I know Greg Gard, and I think that's where Kirk Penny has done a big reason for that. But they've really hammered the overseas recruiting right now to try to bring in some of those players overseas and maybe trying to combat that with
Yeah,
with the money and hey, why not? Why not try it, right?
absolutely. Be creative because you can't compete on your home turf. So try and find some kids someplace else. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I hope it works.
Staying with college football and such. I don't know if you heard this story. Again, weird, involves Colorado and Deion. But Deion Sanders, this is according to Barstool, Deion Sanders has reportedly told the University of Colorado band that it can't play the school's fight song after his son throws a touchdown pass, so the stadium PA system can play his rap song instead.
Whose rap song?
His kid's rap song.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how long this thing's going to last over there.
I don't know what he's trying to prove as a coach. What he's trying to prove. It's all about Deion.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about Deion.
And I was a big fan of his as a kid, as a player.
Oh, yeah,
but this
so
is
was I loved him.
Yeah. Now what's it going to be like when his son Shedeur and Travis Hunter's gone? Is he going to stick around? I don't know if he is or not, to be honest with you.
No.
So I think that and what Nebraska did to him last week too.
Yeah.
That was kind of embarrassing. Let's be real, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. If I'm the athletic director or if I'm the school president, I'm calling him in and say, "You coach the football team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're hired to do.
Yeah.
Not do the rest of it. We'll take care of the rest of it."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially the athletic director. That's his job. You tell the band that they can't play that. No, I'm sorry.
Right. That's that's college football is the band, right?
Yep,
I mean,
exactly.
That's tradition stuff.
And
there.
that's one of the things we've lost with all these TV sports networks and everything else. It used to be you'd get about 5 minutes of the halftime show, which these shows are very entertaining. I mean, I enjoy watching how I go out right away and then come back to watch the halftime show of the Badgers sing varsity. And that show the music is wonderful.
Or even Ohio State dot in the eye, right?
Oh, yeah, it's all Michigan, their big band and Tennessee with a big, it's all wonderful entertainment, but we don't see it anymore. So we can have these talking heads tell us what we just saw. Well, I'd rather see the game at halftime. But it's changed, and evidently there's been no feedback because gradually it's gone. You don't even see the band at all anymore.
No. Apparently, one band you could see, I'll plug them again. Blue Golds. We were talking about it because they kick off their home opener this weekend. But Nick from the Blue Golds in our podcast was previewing. He's like, they're legit this year, so that'll be fun to hear them from Carson Park, the Blue Gold Band, and
that's a big band too for school in Division III.
Yeah,
I don't know how many 100 students in that band.
I remember
That's
when
quite
they
a
would.
tradition.
Yeah, I remember when they would go to Lambeau at halftime and
Yeah.
perform over there. I've seen it a few times. So, but I mean, the whole Colorado thing. I mean, even after that Nebraska game, his Shadur leaving the field early, before the game was over with, going to
Sounds
the
like
locker
the
room and that,
Detroit Pistons.
good call. But I mean, just like at what point is like, okay, this is that honeymoon period's over with,
It would be for me if I'm a Colorado fan.
right? I mean, I
Yeah.
just last year, great. It started off all the hype, and then they had the big win right away in that. But
Well, you
what
knew it when he took that job. What was the first thing he did? He
kicked
got
off everybody on the
yeah,
team?
he
So,
completely turned that roster over. I mean, these are kids, probably some of them from Colorado.
mhm,
Want to play for your home state university, and your coach comes in and said, "Well, you're not welcome here anymore." That right away, he created some animosity and I think some bad feelings among the locals. And let's face it, he is nowhere near the playoffs.
mm-mm,
Not going to even be
no,
close to the playoffs.
nope,
So he can talk, and he's living on his reputation right now.
mhm,
But he better start producing, and he better stop alienating so many people,
mhm.
because that's not a good scene.
Well, even like this year so far, I mean, how he's interacted with certain reporters in the media saying, "Not talking to you," or, how he began the season. There was a certain reporter he wouldn't talk to or answer questions from. Then they banned a reporter, that they could come to the presser, but then they're not allowed to ask him any questions. And then it's like, oh my God. I mean, I know publicity, there's that phrase about, negative publicity is good publicity, but I don't know if that's the case for this one.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, he's asking a question right there in front of everybody. He's got the answer. So what's he going to do? Take it back? He can't adjust the answer because everybody heard what the answer was. So I don't know. He's got, obviously, Dion's got some pretty thin skin,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's showing right now because he isn't near as successful as he thought he was going to be. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Last year he started off with that big upset, and everybody thought, "Look out, here comes Colorado."
And they jumped up in the
Yeah,
rankings right away.
and they went right in the tank and have been in the tank ever since.
Mm-hmm. All right. Shot clock's going to cut us off. Coming up next hour, we'll begin with a little throwback Thursday. We'll talk a little Packers. Packers returning to practice for the first time. Everybody practiced besides one. That was Jordan Love. But Matt LaFleur keeping that door open for him potentially playing this weekend. How up and up is that, or is that still some gamesmanship coming from the head ball coach over there? And we got comments from Malik Willis about the situation too. 1 hour in, we got a couple more to go. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Here we go, second hour on this Thursday morning. A big thanks to all of you for tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in from. Appreciate it. Coming up, we're going to talk a little green and gold here this morning. Packers returning to practice, who practiced, who didn't practice, all that good stuff. We'll get to that here a little bit. We'll get back to some Brewers chat. We've got Jake Bolks coming up at 8:30, answering your outdoor questions. We got the bow opener coming up. So if you got any questions for Jake, text those on over to us, 715-830-1912. We'll do a little receiver defer coming up about 7:40-ish here this morning as well. We begin this hour, though, with a little throwback Thursday. A couple items that happened on this day in history. 1979, Carl Yastrzemski of the Boston Red Sox became the first American League player to get 3,000 career hits and 400 career home runs. His grandson's playing in the league right now.
He did a number on the Brewers last night.
Yeah. Let's go. Michael Jordan signed that 7-year contract to play basketball with the Chicago Bulls after getting drafted, so that worked out well. Dwight Gooden, 1984 of the Mets, set a rookie record with his 251st strikeout of the season. And one more, 2002, a judge announced that a jury would have to decide who would get the ball that Barry Bonds hit for his record 73rd home run. The ownership of the ball, with an estimated value of $1 million, was being disputed between two men that had been in the bleachers.
It's only right, because his home run totals are disputed as well. So it might as well dispute the ball.
I wonder where that, I should find, where is that ball now?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's still worth that amount of money, but thinking about this last night too. Like, I want some more memorabilia. I can't afford something like that, but like, I want some old school Packers pennants. You got any lying in your attic or anything like that?
So. I'd have to look around my garage, maybe.
Yeah, from like 60s or earlier on, or something like that.
I doubt it.
I want to start collecting those, although it's quite a bit of money out there too. So, all right, that's a little bit of your throwback Thursday. Speaking of the Packers returned to practice yesterday to get set for their home opener against the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody practiced except one player, and that was Jordan Love. However, after practice, Matt LaFleur talking a little bit with the media, still leaving the door open for Jordan Love to play. When he was asked about the possibility, he said, I'd say it's pretty open, but at the same time, he's got to be cleared. Love has to be able to protect himself, and he does not need to practice in order to play. Malik Willis was talking with the media, who we think is probably going to be starting at quarterback, said that Love is getting his mental reps. He's preparing to play. We're just preparing ourselves in case he can't go. Just making sure that whenever my number's called, I'm ready. Whether Jordan can go or he can't, just try to be ready. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I don't think he's going to play.
I'd be shocked.
I know there's already been some fans, at least on social media, that have already kind of questioned the kid's toughness because they're comparing it to, well, Favre, played with a sprained MCL, and Rodgers in 2018, that first game against the Bears when he broke his tibia and he suffered a grade 2 MCL. He played every game that year. So I know you got, I don't know if they're Packers fans or other fans that are already comparing that. I'll just quote our good friend, Dr. Crow, when I asked him about that. Each knee injury is unique with how they develop: swelling, stiffness, pain, regaining stability, etc. You can't compare. You really can't make a comparison. It just depends on everybody's knees different. Everybody reacts differently. I trust doctors. Okay.
Oh,
I don't trust internet sleuths.
No,
out there.
And every like Dr. Crow said, every knee injury is a little bit different. Every player is different. I mean, the bone structure. Yeah, you know what the bone structure is, but everybody's a little unique in what they do. I mean, one of the most serious injuries people kind of laugh at is turf toe.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a brutally painful injury.
Yep.
You can't hardly walk.
Ends people's careers a lot.
It's like sticking needles in your toes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the average fan says, well, how can they, bad toe? They can play in a bad toe. No, you can't.
Mm-mm.
So it's, everybody, it's easy for people to sit back and say, well, he's not hurt that bad.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know?
Right. And don't tell me that he's not trying to push to play.
Absolutely.
You know he's trying to push to play and do everything he possibly can to go out there. It's not like he's just like sitting back in a recliner with an ice bag on his knee.
No.
You know he's trying as much as he possibly can to go out there.
I'm sure he's spending time at the facility with the trainers and the ice and the heat and whatever else they might be doing to that knee to try to get it back again. I just think anybody that's criticizing him, just sit back and relax and just be thankful it wasn't torn.
Yeah. Because it sure seemed like everybody thought it was after, and a lot of even people watching the video and doctors watching the videos like, it don't look good. I mean, to make matters worse too, it's like then you got to wait. You can't get the MRI. They got to hop on a plane for 10 hours, and then it's just the waiting game. And that had to suck for Jordan too. I can't find out right away. I got to hop on a plane and fly 10 hours to find out.
I think it's a safer bet to fly on a plane for 10 hours and find out from one of our doctors rather than go to a Brazilian hospital where there might be a German shepherd in the bed next to you. I don't know what, but I think you're better off coming home and talking to your own doctor, team doctors.
Yeah. So, but you're right. I mean, when it first came out Saturday, that it wasn't the ACL. It was like a big, I think, sigh of relief all over the whole state of Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
At that point, then I found myself. I was like, okay, maybe it's just a patellar dislocation. His kneecap's dislocated because Patrick Mahomes came back after a couple games with that. And if outside of just like not suffering an injury, this might have been the best possible outcome.
And all these people, why he can play this kind of thing. Well, if he plays and favors it, hurts it worse, take a couple of weeks off. Season's not over. We only played one game, folks.
Mm-hmm.
A disappointment, but it's only one game.
Right. Yeah. So I think we just need to chillax a little bit. Chillax.
Good advice.
Chillax.
Relax. Let the medical people make the decision. As fans, you can make that decision of whether or not he can play or not.
I don't, and I'll say this too. This actually came from Dr. Crow a little bit earlier this morning. He said, per reports, Love's MCL grade is Love's MCL is grade 1 versus 2. In my opinion, it's most likely a 2 based on video. But if it is really more like a grade 1, it is possible that he plays as early as this week or next week. So there is that. Again, that's just based off video, out there too. So.
And I'd rather hear Dr. Crow's opinion after looking at video than a bunch of fans that say, well, he didn't look bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't
know
what he looked like.
Exactly.
What is he supposed to look like?
Mm-hmm. That would be the optimism. You're hoping for a grade 1. That's what you're hoping. I know Ian Rappaport said it's like between a 1 and a 2. So, and as Dr. Crow was saying, every, doctors grade them differently too. Everybody's.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do.
Doctors got different thoughts and all that too. So, but I hope it's not too long. I mean, that sounds like maybe a couple games. Can they win without him in these next couple games against the Colts and the Titans? That's probably the biggest question we should be asking out there. So, I don't know.
And I think this team needs more than a quarterback. There's a lot of other areas to improve.
You just said it's one game, so you're already freaking out after one game.
I'm not freaking out. I'm saying there are areas they've got to improve, and I'm sure they're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's only one game, but you can definitely see there are areas that they need to get better.
I don't know if this whole Brazil thing is going to continue to go on, but I didn't find this out till maybe I was just blinded by it. They had to drive 2 hours to the stadium too.
Yeah.
I'm like
on a bus because Philadelphia, being the home team, got the.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've only got one good hotel. Where the other one was, they had to drive in a bus.
It was like high school again. You had to hop the bus and go a couple hours and play, then come back.
Yeah.
But it's like what 2 hours? Are you kidding me? And obviously the turf was awful out there, but Yeah.
And that's a question I have. Now they said, and the announcer said, well, now this is a lot like the turf they have at Lambeau Field
Oh, they
with
said that? I didn't hear that.
grass, a combination of grass and artificial turf. And I heard that and I thought, there's nothing comparable. I've never seen them slip on that field of Green Bay outside of, maybe there's some slush or sometime they'll slip, but I've never seen that in Lambeau Field. So I hesitate to believe what the announcers were saying, that this is the same kind of surface that they have at Lambeau. And I thought, how can it be?
I'll go back to J.J. Watt's tweet about that. And remember, his wife is a professional soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually, JJ, I think, is a part owner of a soccer team. Don't quote me on that. I think there's some. But anyways, he said soccer fields are made for speed and agility, smaller bodies gliding across the surface with minimal contact. They are not properly conditioned to have the size and strength of NFL players, cutting, pushing, and driving all game on them. This is common at international games. So
yeah,
he would know a little bit
field.
more.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say when I heard them say that, I thought, no, you're right. You're not right. The combination of turf and grass has to be a whole lot different than because I think Lambeau is mostly grass.
They do have some stuff threaded in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that was a very generic statement if they said that. Well, it's like, oh, so it must be the same if it's a little threaded in there.
What they're referring to. And I thought, no, I've never seen this happen at Green Bay.
No. Yeah, no. And I mean, you looked at it, you can see it chunks up all over the place too. So
it was not a good feel for football.
No, but and I know we talked about it a couple weeks here too, but don't expect Friday night games here for at least a few years because of the law that was passed in 1961. Did you hear about that?
No, I know they don't play on Friday nights.
Well, they did this past Friday.
I mean, they're not supposed. That's what shocked me too. That, well, not shocked me, but surprised me that they were playing a game on Friday night.
Because the NFL found a loophole.
Oh boy!
Somebody was looking at the laws that were passed. I know we mentioned it the other day, but I'll bring it up here again. So essentially, it's the law that was passed that they cannot play Friday night games. Yeah, here we go. Cannot play pro football games on Fridays after 6 p.m. Eastern in deference to high school football games across the country. However, with the early Labor Day this year, tonight is the first Friday, or last Friday was the first Friday of September, the first time this has coincided with the start of the NFL season since 2019. And the law says it starts like the second Friday of September. So there was that loophole. Since this was the first Friday, they were able to. But that's not going to happen for the next few years.
I hope not. I hope not. I mean, they make enough money. Let the high schools have their Friday nights. My goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that little loophole. I wonder how long they were waiting on that thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they already got it planned out for the next few years here, too. So
I mean, they got the game 30 years from now already scheduled.
Exactly. Yeah, we know we're going to play that. We just don't know who is playing.
I don't know if they'll come back. There was enough
negative. Like, what was the benefit of them going there?
Well, that's what I said. There's enough negativity about this whole situation that I don't think it was that much of a win-win for the NFL.
Like, I don't know what you go to London, the players are out and about, you can do some marketing and, when you're told don't leave the hotel, what's the benefit of bringing that outside of ticket sales?
And I'd like to know, I don't know if we ever will, what the ratio was of Philadelphia fans from Philadelphia and Packer fans from Green Bay or Wisconsin in that stadium, and how many locals they actually had in that stadium, and what the ticket prices were for that game for the local people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the ratio was, but that stadium only seated 47,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many, many Packer fans there, many, many Eagle fans there. So I don't know what that meant for the local population to be in that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Was there benefit to them? Did they get exposed to that game? Did they have it on their TVs there locally? Were they watching it? I don't know. Never heard any of those things.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head either. So, all right, let's take a quick break here. We'll talk some more football. We'll also get back to some more baseball chats as well. But we do have Friday night or Thursday night football tonight. It's actually a decent one. Bills and Dolphins. little AFC East action
That's
over there too.
Amazon stuff.
There's
isn't it?
Amazon Prime. So if you don't have Prime,
I'll get the
Yeah.
results tomorrow morning.
so, but they did Peacock. That game, by the way, was the second most watched live event that they've ever had over there.
No, I don't.
Besides
Peacock, I don't doubt that.
the Taylor Swift playoff game, Chiefs and Dolphins
really?
last year.
Okay.
That was the number one over
Yeah.
there. So, all right, we'll take a quick break here. We'll be back in just a few short minutes. With the bow season getting ready to start up here, don't forget, if you have any luck, to submit those photos, not only to the to our quest to find who is the ultimate Wisconsin outdoorsman. More info at our website, sportstalk1051.com. But you can add them to the photo gallery, the Tilden Gun photo gallery. Like we had a listener, Stephanie, submit some photos, and she was over in Africa, it looks like, with her father, and had some luck over there. So some cool photos up on our photo gallery at our website at sportstalk1051.com. And if you're looking maybe for a new hunting firearm, look no further than Tilden Gun. You can check out tildengun.com or stop by their location as well. Sean and Hunter will help you find just what you're looking for. And also with the hunting season, if you're looking for a parcel of land, maybe to, well, your new hunting land or your first time hunting land, or somewhere to build a cabin or put a camper, or maybe a first time home buyer, Woods and Water Realty is your go-to place, your real estate store. Just visit woodsandwater.com to check out all the listings over there. They're your go-to place when you're trying to find maybe some land to do some hunting or put your cabin on over there too. So
I was out the other night driving around down off to the southwest of Eau Claire towards the evening and saw some nice deer.
Yeah. So I was at a birthday party this past weekend, and I was wearing a Realtree hat, and somebody came up to me. He's like, "Well, looks like you're a hunter. I got to show you this." And it was a video, and it was a big one on the field over there that some of on his property too. So they're out there.
Yeah, they're out there. They're out there every year. It's just where do they go? You take their picture on those cameras out in the woods all the time, and just be hunting season.
And they don't come out till the dark.
Yeah, they vanish.
So, but speaking of which, don't forget to get your questions into for Mr. Bolks, who'll be coming up here in about an hour to answer your questions, whether it is for bow season or anything else out there. So text those on over to us. Staying with a little bit of football here with the Pack as they get set for their home opener against the Colts. I mean, I don't know where I'm leaning towards. I feel like the Packers can win this game without Jordan Love. It's just and I'm not trying to cop out on it. I don't know what to expect from Malik Willis right now. I don't know what to expect from him. I feel like,
how can you?
I feel like, okay, they can run the ball. That he's got offensive weapons to get the ball to. Defensively, I think we were maybe a little. The honeymoon phase was over. We kept saying it, and then week one they allowed 34 points. Right? I mean that's facts. I don't have a good gauge on this game. Like it's a fight. Like I want to pick Green Bay, but then it's like, okay, but Jordan Love's not playing, so how much can you decide by that? And I don't know. It's tough for me. It's tough for me to gauge this one.
Well, it's tough for any fan because you don't know what this defense. Like I've got a receiver defer, Jair Alexander and Quay Walker, and you finish it.
Underwhelmed last week, big time. So, it was disappointing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, they didn't give us anything last weekend or last Friday to make us excited about this defense. Quay Walker was again. I mean, there were plays where all he had to do was run into the hole and make the tackle, and he ran into the lineman.
I saw one of those.
This guy is not getting any better.
Well, I saw one of those, and John Kuhn actually, let me bring it up, what he said. Yeah, there was a play. It was one of those where, it was a touchdown run by Saquon.
Yeah.
And Kuhn said, I'm convinced we are aligned wrong. The front doesn't fit with the second level for gap fits, shorter player on the weak side. I don't know if that's true, but if that's the case, then that would go hand in hand to what LaFleur said after the game, that, coaching staff had a lot of unusual issues during the game. So I don't know if that's a combination of a lot of new defensive coaches working some kinks. I don't know. I'm just saying what John Kuhn put out there.
What it tells me is these guys should have been playing in the preseason to get used to playing with each other, get used to you got a new defensive coordinator. These guys should have been playing in the preseason. I understand the situation about injuries and losing a guy, this, that, and the other thing. but they should have been playing some in the preseason to get used to each other, get used to their formation, get used to their schemes. They just didn't act like they knew what they were doing.
So
and again, Quay Walker, man, that guy's frustrating because he looks like he's got all kinds of ability and talent, but he just can't get the job done. Jair Alexander, he's too much of a me guy. He's not a team guy.
You don't think he's a team guy?
Well, Carolina is a good example.
Yeah, last year was he a weird one. Yeah.
What that interception, he had no more business running that interception out of the end zone than I would. I mean, and he, and the play, Brown made him look sick a few times.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's got to become a team player. He's a me guy, and I think he's got all the talent in the world, but I think he's got his head screwed on wrong.
Eric Stokes played well, though.
Oh, yeah. There are guys that played well, but they're not the leaders of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Jair Alexander should be a lead. I mean, he's highest paid cornerback in the league, or if he's not, he's in the top 2 or 3.
He's like 2 or 3 right now. So,
I mean, this guy's got to be more of a leader and not so much of a me guy. Quay Walker, I expected by now he'd be. I watched some of these linebackers on these other teams, and I'm thinking that's what we drafted Quay Walker to do, and he's not doing it now. Is it the scheme? Or is it the fact that he doesn't understand how to read an offense? I don't know, but those are 2 guys that if just they'd bring their level of play up to where we expect it should be, would make a big difference in that team.
We used to have a caller called Optimistic Packer Fan. I might have to change your name to Not Optimistic Packer
I'm optimistic about the Packers.
You don't sound like it. You're getting me down.
I'm talking about 2 players.
You're depressing me now, man.
Well, what am I saying that's not right about those 2 players?
You're depressing me right now.
I'm just talking the truth.
Well, sort of.
Well, what
truth is in the eye of the beholder.
All right. So how do you behold Jair Walker and his performance the other night?
You mean Jair Alexander
or Jair Alexander? I'm sorry.
I mean,
what he's done with that Carolina game, and through his career, he's been a me.
I don't know if I'm ready to term him a all me player. Yes, last year was weird in that. I will say at least Jair, he did own up to it after the game. He owned up that he played like poop. We'll just call it that, and owned up to a lot of his mistakes in that game. He did say that afterwards. So, but
he's been in the league long enough that, he shouldn't be able to wash it away by doing that.
Oh, I don't think he's washing it away.
He's got to perform. He's got to get on the field and perform.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that, but
that's all I'm saying. I'm not out of him.
I'm not ready to call it after one game or anything like that.
I'm not calling after one game. I'm just saying guys like that have to play better.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I mean, there's dudes that you got to hold them accountable.
Yeah,
and all that. But Jair's good. I'm not concerned about.
Good.
No, I'm saying I'm not concerned about him right now. I'm not concerned about Jair in the long term. So, rough game, kind of like Colin Ray last night. So we'll see moving forward.
I hope you're right, but I mean, you're the second or third highest paid cornerback in the league. Other teams aren't. You're not taking half the field away like you expect.
No, it was Philadelphia. Got to give them credit. They went after Jair, and Jair wasn't able to rise to the occasion on Friday against AJ Brown and such. So,
but what did they see that they'd go against Jair Alexander? That was part of their game plan.
I don't know, but there's been other points too where Jair's had really good games and shutting down top receivers and such.
Not arguing that at all, but he's got to get that performance the other night. Didn't leave me his decision making.
So,
but that's only, like I said, that's one game they got. But those guys have got it now with, depending on how long or if Love is out, guys like Jair Alexander have to step it up. They have to be more of a leader. Quay Walker, more of a leader.
I want to see. Yeah, I mean, if there is no Jordan Love, that defense has to take over. Now, to be fair, defense did give them 2 early turnovers in that game, and the offense can't punch it in for touchdowns, which right away I was like, crap, that's going to come back to bite us.
Who's that on?
I mean, I don't know if it's just on one person. I mean, you could talk about execute. I don't know exactly what was play calls and execution, and I mean, there was flag fest. They did have a touchdown, then it was called back and all that. I mean,
the penalties got to be a joke.
I mean, the official was sweating and running, losing his voice for crying out loud. At some point, if I'm the head official, I'd be like, no more flags. I'm done talking, for the night. But
it just doesn't seem like inside the 3-yard line, there's much creativity in that offense at all.
I don't know. I mean, Jacobs was struggling to, get anything going there for a while. Then it finally got going there. So it was, it was I would say it was a rough performance from a lot of aspects, but at the same time, they lost by 5.
I know, but they left 19 points on the field.
They did. And that's where it gives me maybe a little bit of optimism. That's the first week. There was a lot of issues, yet they lost by 5.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's just
by 5 or 50, it's still a loss.
It's still a lot, but it doesn't determine the whole season.
Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, I remember 2003, Patriots got shellacked by a Bills team 31-0, and then they ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. So we'll see. Don't want to brush away from what we saw, but we got 16 more of these to go. The blood pressures and the anxiety and the stress, we got to make it through February.
And hopefully at home they'll feel more comfortable and just get the job done.
I do think the biggest factor in this game on Sunday is going to be Matt LaFleur, because he's got to have learned how he prepared Love for that Kansas City game a couple years ago when he filled in for Rodgers. And he has talked about it, how he kind of regrets a lot from how he prepared him. And that, has he learned from that for Malik Willis if Malik Willis plays? That, to me, is going to be the big factor in that. Does he open up to play? He's got weapons to get him to. It's just how much are they going to handcuff him to? So.
And I think that's the frustration when they get inside the 3-yard line, 2-yard line. The playbook is shut down. He's got everybody in there. This is an offensive line. They're not a drive blocking line that holds the blocks for a long time like you have to be when you're going to push the line. They're just, they're chip blockers and this, that, and everything. Spread it out. Don't let the defense put 8, 9 men in the box on you.
Well, and that's probably what's going to happen on Sunday, because they're going to be like, yeah, Malik Willis beat us. So they're going to say, we're going to load up against Josh Jacobs, assuming you want to run the ball. Try to beat us with your arm, Malik Willis.
Or your legs. I don't know how good a runner Malik Willis is. I don't know if he has some escapability back there or not.
Yep.
But,
I would imagine they're going to bring the
legs
pressure.
If he does. I mean, Kansas City uses, Patrick Mahomes' legs. I mean, all these other teams are using their quarterback's legs. Why don't we use ours?
Well, and then if Jordan does play, to quote Matt LaFleur, they're probably going to try to go after him too. So you're talking about getting the ball out quick, and because he ain't going to be able to. And that's the surprising. He doesn't run a whole lot too. When you actually look at Jordan Love's scrambling numbers, he doesn't run the ball a whole lot.
He can get out of harm's way, but then he'll throw it.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't feel like he's going to play. I'm this close, Bob, to getting my hopes up that he's going to play.
Well,
and
the
I just
way they keep talking on Green Bay, that's the way it should be, because I'm thinking it's 50-50 right now, and today's Thursday. They still got 2 or 3 days for Sunday, so I'm thinking the same thing, that, by golly, with all the treatment they've got now and all the machines and expertise and everything else,
And remember, he played on Friday. It wasn't Sunday, so he's got a couple more days.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Oh, I don't want to go over that cliff right there. There's so much of me. Like, he's baiting the Colts, LaFleur is, but he's baiting the fan base at that same point too.
That's a good point.
Where it's like, oh. I will say, if Jordan does run out there and play, his Q rating for a lot of fans is going to go up.
Oh my goodness, the crowd will be wild, and rightly so.
Yep.
I mean, that's your linchpin for the whole season is Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, he goes out there. Anybody who, again, criticized him, like, oh, he should play because Rodgers and Favre would play and all that, that would go away. That would just, that absolutely. Lore of the toughness of the quarterback in Green Bay. Again, we all know he wants to play. It's not going to be his. If you asked him right now, do you want to play? He's going to say yes, and he'd probably go out there. It's not his decision at this point.
Oh, no, it's got to be medical. You got to take it out of his hands.
Yep. So, all right, let's do some receiver defer. We'll take a quick break. Come on. Come on. Is there a cleaner for like touch screens over here? Because it ain't working over here. There we go. Got to use old school mouse.
Got to touch it with your fist.
Got to
instead of
go
your
old
fingers.
school again here.
There you go.
Man. All right, quick break, and we'll finish up the second hour coming up in a couple minutes. Need to get your vehicle in for an oil change, or maybe it's time for some new tread, some new tires over there. Look no further than ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire, on the west side of Eau Claire, just across the street from the Dodge over there. They're your go-to place, not only for high-quality used auto parts to help you save some money for some repairs, or maybe you're putting a car together, but also your go-to place when it comes to oil changes and getting new tires, especially when you got to think about winter coming up here and in road conditions. You want to make sure your tires are ready to do battle over there. So make your appointments and visit ASAP Used Auto Parts to get some new tires and get your oil change over here. A couple texts before we get to a little receive or defer here. John from Eau Claire says, I think Jair bounces back this weekend. Rough year last year, but he did kind of bounce back at the end of the year. One bad game. No need to overreact. Mark. A couple of texts here from Mark. I missed the first one here. Says last night, former Badger and Packer defensive lineman back in the 90s, Don Davey, was at the VFW here with a group biking across the country to raise money for families of fallen military men. They rode in on their bikes from La Crosse yesterday, biking to Stevens Point today, then on to Green Bay. That's pretty cool. That's really cool over there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I remember him when he was a Badger.
Put this in the predict segment at 7:45 on Sunday when Jordan Love jogs onto Lambeau to play. It'll be like Willis Reed jogging into the Madison Square Garden for Game 7 of the 1970 NBA championship.
I watched that game. I remember that game.
Yeah?
I mean, he just literally dragged that leg.
Mm-hmm.
He
only had like a couple points or something like that too, right?
But it was just the inspiration of him being on the court.
Mm-hmm. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, week 2 of the NFL season. It's comparable.
Yeah, right.
VFW, though, too. Man, I could go for a little taco omelet from VFW.
There you go.
Their Post 305. The VFW Post
Good
305 was just
food.
there Sunday. They had their all breakfast buffet going on while their card show was going on for the kiddos. So, but all right, I'll let you go first.
Receiver defer. There's more pressure on Pat Murphy than there is Matt LaFleur right now. And I'm thinking down the road, to get this team offensively back on track and then to get them into the playoffs without the falling flat like they did last year. I think in my mind, it begins right about now.
I'm going to defer. I think there's more pressure on the floor right now.
Okay. I can't argue that. I think so too. There's a lot of pressure on both of them, different kinds of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But
mostly I'm coming at from the angle too, because I feel like we've had this conversation every year, or some people have this conversation every year when it comes to Matt LaFleur. Well, he was really good because he had Aaron Rodgers. And then last year it was like, okay, now we're going to see how good he is. And then it's like, Jordan Love and, had a great second half. Now the conversation's back up. Now we're really going to see how good of a play caller and coach is with LaFleur without Jordan Love. So it's like, he's not quite getting a lot of that respect yet.
There's no question about it. And also some of the things you pointed out and that he obviously pointed out was, is he on the same page with all his coaches? Like the defensive coordinator, do they know what they want to run? And how much does LaFleur have an input in all that stuff? And I think there's probably pressure on him. He's the head coach. He's got to know what's going on. So I think, too, he's got to pull these things together in a hurry.
Mm-hmm. All right, what else you got?
All right, and I was watching baseball and some of the highlights, but receiver defer, the Angels and the White Sox are comparable to the old Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns for futility. Remember the Lions? Yep. I mean, they were 0-16, and I mean, you look at these two teams now, and I don't know.
White Sox are awful. The only reason that gives me pause about at least they won a World Series in 2005, about 20 years ago. Yeah, about 20 years ago, which is more recent than the Brewers.
Brewers never won a World Series.
So that's where it gives me a little bit of pause because at least the Lions and the Browns, I mean, they haven't won anything, Super Bowl wise and such. The Angels are one of the most frustrating teams for me because I've picked them to go to the playoffs because they should. When you look at, you have Mike Trout and Ohtani on your team and you never made the postseason with that.
Yep.
That's despicable.
Yeah.
Absolutely despicable.
That's when I first wrote this down. I wrote the Angels. And I thought, I better include the White Sox. But the Angels are a frustrating team. They just can never seem to put a team on the field with the stars that they've had. Two of the, You talk about
They
those two
signed
guys
Rendon,
counting
and
the
I know
time.
he hasn't played up there, but still.
But you got those two guys for how many years together? You got to say they're two of the top 4 players in baseball on one team, and you can't get anything done.
Right. Yeah. And then you bring in Joe Madden, to try to do it, and it's just like, yeah, the Angels are the team that always bugs me the most the last few years.
Yeah,
Because I feel like there was missed opportunities over there. So, got anything else on there?
I got one more, and just for conversation's sake, I'm not saying I'm.
Oh, you're teeing this up now, there, big boy.
Receiver to fur. Malik Willis will not win a game that he starts.
Golly, we're back to that. I want to.
Well, I know it, but it's.
I'll defer.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't know his history very much, and I don't know how much he's had a chance to play. I know he's never thrown a touchdown pass, but I don't know how much he has ever had a chance to play. Like I said, I don't know his history. I don't know his statistics. I don't know his background. He's been in the league, so he has to have some talent, but I don't know what it is.
So these are just kind of his numbers back in 2022 when he was a rookie. He started 3 games. He played in 8, but he started 3 games. 31 of 61, 276 yards, 3 interceptions. Trying to see if I'll have to scroll down. That's passing yards.
And that's with who?
The Titans.
Okay.
When the Titans drafted him. Where's his rushing? Okay. So, I mean, in 2022, he had 27 attempts for 123 yards rushing. Does have a rushing touchdown. So he does use his legs a little bit. 2023, he played in 3 games but didn't start any. So there's really not a whole lot to brag about that one. 74 yards.
He hasn't played a whole lot, but
yeah,
when he did play, he didn't do anything to get your attention. So.
And that's where, yeah, because I remember that draft. There was people thought he would go in the first round, and he ended up falling to the 3rd round. Because like the Lions were a team like people thought would draft in the Lions. They were like holding on to Jared Goff, which worked out for them. I mean, they got that one right. It goes to was he in the best situation? The positive side, trying to stay positive. Was he in the best situation with the Titans? That sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, it's just such a limited. It's like Trey Lance a little bit in terms of has Trey Lance gotten a fair? I don't know.
That's a good question because I don't know the answer to that either. But I was so surprised that San Francisco gave up on him so fast. After moving up. They took him 3rd or 2nd or whatever it was in the draft, and I don't think they gave him much of a chance at all. Now, what they didn't see in his performance obviously was the reason that they let him go so fast and for so little. So I don't know. Malik Willis falls into that same category or not. Maybe he can find a home in Green Bay, but as a backup.
Yeah.
But if he plays, and we all hope he doesn't, but if he does play a game or two, he could solidify himself for quite a while.
Well, goes back to the question we had at the end of preseason, right? When it comes to the backup quarterbacks, you want a guy that you feel like you can win games with.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, now we got to find out in week 2 if we can win games with this guy.
And that's what I heard in LaFleur's press conference. We brought Malik in, but if he doesn't work, we have every confidence in the world that Sean Clifford, Sean knows our system. And well, you don't have confidence in Sean Clifford. You cut him, you brought him back, you bring another guy in to put ahead of him. If I'm Sean Clifford, that's not a lot of confidence you're showing in me.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of pressure on Malik Willis and on Matt LaFleur to get him ready to play if indeed, as we all expect, Jordan Love will not play.
Yep. Nope. I agree. So you got any more? Or are you good over there?
I'm good.
Okay. Quick text. Josh says, my gut tells me they're going to put a brace on Jordan Love's knee and let him play. If not this week, he will be back next week for sure. So, gosh, I don't know. See, I'm getting baited.
We don't either.
Today's going to be, I think, an interesting day in terms of if Jordan's out on the field doing something, maybe. But I know LaFleur says he doesn't have to practice to go out there. I feel like maybe this is the other part too. I feel like if this happened on Sunday, there's no way. But the fact that it happened on a Friday where he's got a couple more days, possibly, maybe.
Yeah, because he had all day Saturday and all day Sunday. Once he got back from Brazil to go into the facility and get it looked at by the people that know what they're doing,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
not reporters or not coaches, but by the medical staff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, if Jordan Love plays, this is from Texter. If Jordan Love plays and gets hurt, is the coach on the hot seat?
No, the medical staff.
I would
The
say it-
medical staff says he's good to go. The coach was a coach. I'm playing him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would say no, it wouldn't be the coach because I don't think the coach is. I don't think LaFleur is going to go to Pat McKenzie and say clear him,
Oh, no.
and start him and all that. So,
That's basis of a lawsuit.
so, all right. What else does? Oh, I did have a receiver defer written down for you, but I can't. Where did it go? I got too
Forgot
many
where you
windows.
wrote it. There you go.
I got too many windows opened up.
I
right
had
now
them
here.
on. I write mine down on my windows right here. It's called an.
I see that's like
8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
That's not
cut in
8.5 by 11.
in
That's like
half,
5
cut
by
in
7.
half.
Oh, okay.
Cut in half. Let me finish.
That's like your
That's fine.
measurements.
Here's my window.
You must
right
be
here.
a fisherman with your measurements over there.
No, nope. You can
Uh,
always find them.
it's not loading up. So, come on. Where did it go? Anyways, it is what it is. I'm gonna run out of time here anyway, so we'll save it. By the time it loads up for me, we'll do it up in the next hour.
Is the rookie of the year in the National League voting pretty well done?
I
mean,
Merrill.
everybody's made their impression that.
I know what mine is. I'm glad you brought it up really quick. Executive of the year, receiver defer David Stearns if the Mets makes it should get it over Matt Arnold from the Brewers.
No way.
Okay.
Brewers are winning a division. The Brewers are doing it with a payroll that is so much less.
Well, remember the Mets shed a lot of that payroll,
but they still I'd be surprised if their roster wasn't being paid a lot more than the Brewers roster.
Maybe
I mean, David Stearns
stuff.
has done a nice job if the Mets can make it in, but Matt Arnold with the Brewers losing his manager, losing Corbin Burns. I mean, this is a patchwork roster for the pitching staff, especially.
So, all right, 2 in. We got one more to go here. Got some news updates. Last call for any questions for Jake Boakes for Outdoor Tidbits. Send those puppies on over. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Third hour, final hour, kicking off on this Thursday morning. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll catch up with Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden. Last call for any questions for our DNR Warden buddy. You got to text it to us at 715-830-1912.
Going bull hunting this weekend?
Probably not this weekend, but hopefully soon. Coming up here too. So, but know plenty of other people who will be hitting the woods.
Yeah, you get one, you better bring it home to the cooler right away.
Exactly.
It's going to be warm.
Exactly. So, got a text here from John. Got to remember, Willis was drafted and sat behind Tannehill, and then he sat behind Will Levis last year. So he really hasn't gotten many opportunities. He also has better weapons in Green Bay. I won't argue the better weapons in Green Bay, but I mean, I also think we got to remember too, he was drafted to hopefully take over for Tannehill, and obviously the Titans didn't feel like that was going to be the case to where they went and drafted Will Levis too. So I mean, there's a reason they moved on from him at that point too. So maybe it was just a change of scenery. Maybe this. We don't know. We don't know. But
no, until he gets on the field in a game where it means something, you know, he just in there throwing a pass to end the game the other night. But you know, until he gets in a meaningful situation, we won't know how good he might be.
Yeah, and two, you know, this is where I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Was, you know, you look at that Tennessee team that he was on. We know Mike Vrabel just wants to run the football, and that was also the year too when they traded AJ Brown, you know, to Philly.
Yep.
So they didn't have really any receiving. Be interesting now to see him maybe be able to throw the ball a little bit more with Matt LaFleur. Maybe we'll see if that's going to be the case or not. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt here. No question about it. It's
Well, I think
just
they'd probably be forced to because teams will say, you know, we're not going to let Josh Jacobs beat
Exactly.
us, and you're going to have to throw the ball to beat us. And so if they can do that, it'll be good. But, and what do you think? It's 75-25 that he plays?
I think so. I'll go higher, 80-20.
80-20, yeah. I think that's probably right in the ballpark. Because I'd be happy, but I'd be surprised if Jordan Love plays.
Yeah. So I don't think he's. Again, I don't.
Well, you don't want to have this.
If this was week 15 or 16, maybe I'd feel a little different that Jordan Love plays. Like if you're playing for something, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you're playing for a position, or a playoff position, to get in. With it being week 2, cautious. I think you got to be a little cautious to that point.
Oh, I think you do too. I mean, you really can't throw your season away in the first 3-4 weeks by getting anxious.
And again, I know there's going to be more people saying, "Well, Aaron Rodgers did in 2018," and you know, I do wonder. And this might be a good question for Dr. Crow tomorrow to kind of get from a doctor's perspective, you know, a patient-doctor relationship. Did Aaron Rodgers already have that rapport with their team doctor, Pat McKenzie? Been around for a while where they got that trust between the two. Like Pat McKenzie's like, okay, I'll clear you because I trust that, you know, you will take care of yourself. You know your body and all. Jordan's still kind of new, right? I know he's been there for a few years, but do they have that type of connection where Dr. McKenzie would be is at that trust level with Jordan Love? You know what I'm trying to get at?
Because I don't know how much they've worked together because he hasn't been hurt. You don't go to the doctor if you don't, you know, you don't go to the doctor if you're feeling good.
Right.
And you don't have anything wrong with you.
Mm-hmm. That's where I kind of wonder too, you know, I got to imagine there was a little bit more of that trust level and that built up relationship between Rodgers and, you know, even Favre back in the day with Dr. McKenzie to where maybe it's still new with Dr. McKenzie and Love. You know, I don't know if that's a thing, but that's a question. Maybe I'll ask Dr. Crow tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I don't know. A lot of speculating, and that's what we do as fans. When the game time rolls around, our questions will all be answered.
You know, one thing we haven't really spent a whole lot of time talking about after Friday, how was the new kicker look? Braden Arvidsson. He made all his extra points, missed one field goal.
Missed a makeable field goal that he should have made. That was one of the 3 of the 19 points, and then LaFleur gave 1 point back. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, but hey, not bad. Not bad. I was holding my breath, you know, on those kicks. So we'll see how it goes this weekend. but at least we're not talking about a kicker. Actually, it's not really that
No.
big of a deal at this point. So, but
No, and he'll settle in, I hope. It's just he's got, kicking in the summertime is a lot different than kicking in November and December in Green Bay. Even all the way through October for the most part, weather's really pretty good. But when you start getting some of that north wind coming in November and December, you can get some pretty nasty days out there, and it's a tough job kicking in that wind.
Yep.
So that you just can't miss. He missed a very makeable field goal. Just can't miss those.
Right. Brewers back in action tonight, 8:45. First pitch, we got Frankie Montas on the mound. So another late night out there for you Brewers fans. So we'll see if the Brewers can get this series win tonight. Then the big ones coming up here, this stretch of Diamondbacks, Phillies, and Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and hopefully by the time we talk next week, it'll all be over. Because like we said, last Thursday it was 20.
Was it 20? I'll have to double check.
I'm sure you said 20. It was a magic number.
A week
was
20. 20, man. Okay, maybe I'll have to double check that. But
now it's down to 8. I don't think it was 2 weeks ago. Maybe, but I thought it was last week because I was following that from the time you said 20, and now I heard this morning it's down to 8 or 8.5, whatever it is. But it can come down in a hurry when your wins, their losses. You win, they lose. That's 2 right there.
Yeah.
So it's So I'm just hoping by next Thursday at this time we'll be able to talk.
Receive or defer? Will they have the division wrapped up by next Thursday when we talk?
I'm going to receive that. I'm going to receive that.
I'm going to receive that too, I think.
Yep.
I know the schedule's a little easier for the Cubbies compared to the Brewers at this point in time. But, I mean, you one day can make up 2. So I'll receive it.
Yeah, I don't expect the Brewers to lose 2 out of 3 to Colorado either. So it happens.
I'll receive that. I'll receive that. So I like it.
When does the season officially end?
The final game is Sunday, the 29th, September 29th.
Okay.
That's going to be and that series too. They play the Mets at home, so the Mets might have a lot to play for in that series. We'll see what the Brewers.
They very well might.
We'll see if they're still in a position to maybe get a top 2 seed. If not, and they're locked into that 3. They may be resting a lot of their pitchers to get ready and set their rotation up for the postseason. So might mean more a little bit to the Mets.
That's interesting. So
but the other part,
are they going to rest? What's the rotation?
But the other part that might be interesting in that too, that might be who they play in that first round of that playoffs. Because right now the Mets are the 6.
Yep, Mets might just stay in town.
So that's the other part in there too, where it's like, is there a little gamesmanship going on? I don't know how much there is at that point after 160 games in that, but that might be another interesting thing. That might be the preview of the opening round between those 2 teams. Because right now, I think it's safe to say the Diamondbacks and the Padres are probably going to be wild cards with the way they're playing.
Yep.
And it's between the Mets and the Braves right now for that final spot, unless the Cubs can make that run.
Yeah, the Cubs got exceptionally hot.
Wouldn't that be something?
They're not out of it yet.
I do not want to see Brewers and Cubs in the first round.
No, I don't either.
I don't.
Because the trend will be going the wrong direction. Cubs on an up and the Brewers on a level or down. No, I don't want to see that either.
I don't want to see that. And then all the regular season stuff doesn't mean anything that the Brewers won the regular season.
Nope, doesn't mean a thing.
Nope. I don't want that. That's probably the one team I don't want to play in the first round of the playoffs. I don't want to
play Arizona again either, the way they played against them last year.
Well, at this point, we won't play them in the first round, so that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, it will.
Because Diamondbacks and Padres will have to play against each other first, and then, winner moves on and plays whoever at that point. But, yeah, at this point, Brewers will play the final wild card team in there, and it looks like it's either the Braves or the Mets.
Well, let's hopefully the Brewers get hot and move up to be number 2 seed.
Get a bye
over
there.
Nice.
That's it's one thing too. Maybe that's what's pushing the Dodgers and all that, because they can't really relax a little bit because of the Diamondbacks and Padres on their heels a little bit there. So,
and their pitching staff isn't completely healthy either. I don't think Kershaw is going to go at all. Yeah, I don't even know if he'll make the postseason roster, to tell you the truth.
That's going to be the interesting thing too when we get to the Brewers in terms of pitchers and starters and bullpen guys, because you've got so many guys that can give you a couple innings of relief coming out of the pen. Who makes that postseason roster?
That's tough. And
you can get creative if you want to.
Well, yeah, he's going to have to be creative because Murphy's got to look. It's going to cost him a position player to put another pitcher on that roster because he doesn't have a horse. Peralta you'd think would be the horse, but he's only going 5, maybe 6 innings at the most. You don't have a guy that can go 7 or 8 innings for you. So that means pitching is at a premium for that roster. So he's got to take a position player, maybe 2 out of his rotation and put those pitchers on that roster. So it'll be interesting to see what he does and what his reasoning will be for it. And if he feels, because Ray last night, he's been pitching well all year. He just had an off night. But, if you short your pitching staff and you have an off night, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got a lot of decisions to make.
He does. So, playoff baseball, though, is coming up. One of my favorite times of the year.
Oh, mine too. I love it. Who these stars are going to be that come out of nowhere to be, to be the guys that lead their team.
Right. Looking at the matchups, if the postseason, because I feel like we know the majority of the teams that are going to be in.
Are the Yankees in it?
Yeah, they'll be in it. I mean, they're leading their division right now.
They are Baltimore. They're beating Baltimore.
Slightly right now. Slightly at this point, but you've got Cleveland as the top team in the American League, but they're tied with the Yankees right now, 84-62. Houston's in there. Baltimore's a wild card. That's going to be back and forth between the Yankees up until the end. Kansas City, Minnesota's holding on. Tigers are making a late run.
I see that. I don't even know anybody's on the Tiger roster.
They're 3 back right now. They've won 4 in a row. They're 7-3 in their last 10. So they're trying to make that run to catch up against the Twins. Boston's 4 back. Seattle's 4 back from a wild card spot. I think they're actually a little bit closer to Houston in terms of division at this point. So, I mean, at least in the American League, you've got, Seattle's 3.5 back from Houston for a division. So you got a little bit of a race there, but in the National League, it's, right now it's between New York and Atlanta for that wild card spot, unless the Cubs can make that late run, who are currently 5 back. But I feel like we've got a good guess at who's going to be in the postseason right now. And if it started, I mean, your matchups are and we talked about, win totals for a lot of these teams. There's receiver defer. Is there a team that is so far above the next team? Like there's where you'd say Dodgers versus the field, Yankees versus the field, something like. I don't know. I don't think there is.
No, I don't think there is at all in baseball. It's pretty well bunched as far as there's no head and shoulders best team.
Yeah, and
the question is, when are the Red Sox going to do what they need to do to get back in the mix? Because they've been out of the mix now for a long time, and they've got money in Boston, but they don't want to spend it. Evidently, they let Mookie Betts go, and they let some other guys go. They've had some awfully good players through Boston, and they just don't seem to want to put a championship team back together again.
I'm trying to bring up the matchups right now, what they would be here, because it's MLB playoff picture. Here we go. So these would be the opening rounds right now. Twins versus Houston, I think, could be an interesting series. Then you got Kansas City and Baltimore. That could be a fun one, I think. Mets and Brewers, which we talked about, and then of course Padres and Diamondbacks. I mean, that's kind of a race to the, or that's going to be a battle of who's the hottest NL West team outside the Dodgers. So that would be a fun one too.
And I don't think the Dodgers call them hot. Could you? Just the fact that they got off to such a good start, they've been kind of treading water, staying on top, because they've had some pitchers that have gone out and they haven't been all that dominant.
Right. No, I would agree with that. So, but I'm really intrigued. I know we got a little bit here yet to the playoff start, but looking at the teams that are probably going to make it, I don't know if I could pick one team so far ahead of the other one right now. I don't want to make any World Series picks or anything like that, but I feel like a lot of these, could you almost make the case for almost every team in here to go on a run to get to the World Series?
Probably could.
You know what was kind of weird yesterday? Baseball Reference. You know who had the second best odds to get to win the World Series?
Who?
Brewers.
From who?
This was from Baseball Reference. I'll bring it up and explain it to you here a little bit. But the Brewers last week, I think they were actually number one with their metrics and all that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder what kind of metrics or numbers they're looking at to Brewers. I know pitching bullpen's been good. And you mentioned the run differential, so they've got some nice numbers that they can plug in there. But boy, I'm not sure that I would pick them as second best chance to get to or win the World Series. I hope they're right, because I'd love to see them in the World Series and let alone win it.
So MLB playoff odds are based on 1,000 simulations of the rest of the season and playoffs. The team's estimated quality is determined by their performance over their last 100 regular season games and includes a regression to the mean factor. These results are based on standings through just a couple days ago. Phillies have the best, according to them, percentage-wise, best chance to win the World Series, 12.3. The Brewers are tied with the Dodgers at 11.2. And then the Astros come in there at 10%. Then it's Cleveland and New York. Hey, I'll run with that. I like, at least somebody's giving the Brewers some love.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, who the eggheads are that's sitting it off. They probably don't know if a baseball's round or square, but they know numbers, and they can crunch these numbers and come up with those kind of results. So they're fun to look at, but you don't win it with numbers. You win it on the field. So we'll have to see.
Right. But no, I think this is gonna be a fun playoffs. Because if everything kind of goes the way it's going here in the next couple weeks, I don't see a team that's head and shoulders above anybody else in this thing.
No, I think it's one of the years where there's the most level playing field, pardon the pun, for all the teams that are going to be in the playoffs.
And we all know what Major League Baseball probably wants, and the networks.
Oh, yeah. They want
Judge versus Ohtani, Yankees, Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
And let's not kid ourselves, that would be entertaining, right? To see those two guys duking it out for a World Series. I know people, same two teams. But it would be kind of fun if your team's not in there. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't know if I'd pick that, to be honest with you, at this point.
No, I don't know if I would either.
No.
LA's got trouble with their pitching. I don't think their pitching staff is healthy. They got good arms, but they're not healthy. And the Yankees, I guess, I don't know what their problem is. I was watching a little bit of that game last night, and Soto hit a home run, but they said Judge is in kind of a slump right now. He's not doing much. So, this isn't the time of the year you want to go into a slump, but he is in a slump. So how many home runs he will hit?
Yeah.
Be entertaining or be interesting to see.
Ohtani, though, he's inching closer to that first 50-50 season.
Is he? Where's he at?
47 homers and 48 steals. He's going to get it, right?
I would be shocked if he didn't.
I think
unless he got hurt or something.
Yeah. The steals is what just impresses me the most about that guy.
Because he's such a big guy. I mean, he's a big, tall, and he's pretty well built. Not like he's a tall string bean that can run like a deer. I mean, he's
right. Not like an Elly De La Cruz who,
exactly.
is kind of tall and lanky sort of thing. But
and he's just so smart that he knows how to steal a base and when to steal a base. But that's very impressive.
I mean, and just the fact, do you even pitch him? Do you throw him out as a pitcher next year?
He's throwing on a mound already.
Yeah.
So he's obviously got that in his mind that he wants to pitch again.
Isn't that something?
It is. It is. He's a remarkable player.
Man, it's just
that
unbelievable.
World Baseball Championships when Japan was playing the U.S. and he struck out Mike Trout.
Yeah.
And Mike Trout was not close.
Right.
So he's a very good pitcher as well.
You know what would really make that World Series even more entertaining if it was Dodgers and Yankees is if like Ohtani was on the mound, Game 7. Judge is at the plate.
Yeah.
Say Dodgers are holding on to a 1-run lead or something like that, and there's a runner at third, and you got Judge up, situation like, oh gosh, the baseball nerds would be going goo goo gaga about that thing.
So would any fan that knows anything about baseball. I mean, that's what the ultimate prize is for baseball, is to have that kind of a scenario in a World Series.
I don't know how the rules would work. Like, could he be a relief pitcher if he's DH? I know they got the weird DH, subbing DH sort of. So I'd have to look that up and double check some of that stuff over there. Like, could he still be DH, but like a relief pitcher? I don't know that. So right now, I don't want to take him out of my lineup hitting wise.
Oh no,
Just to
absolutely
throw
not.
an inning or something like that. So
Yeah, and if you have to bring him in the middle of the game, how does he warm up?
right,
Good
point.
If he's playing, well, if he's a DH, he can go back and warm up, I guess. But still, in all, he's got to come to bat. If he's out warming up and all of a sudden the Dodgers bat around, he's got to run in from the dugout to bat or something because they're not going to take his bat out of that lineup. I mean, I wouldn't either, but he's a unique player. I mean, we've never had anyone like this. Babe Ruth early in his career, but I don't think Babe Ruth was probably as good a pitcher, although I know he was pretty good as a pitcher.
Right.
But he's about the last one that was really meaningful as a pitcher and a hitter until Ohtani.
Right.
A lot of good pitchers have been good hitters, but they only hit when, they'll pinch hit once in a while, but they basically only hit when they're in the lineup. Ohtani, if he's not pitching, he's in the lineup playing the outfield or whatever it might be.
All right, let's take a quick break here, and we'll get to Mr. Bulks, shall we? Do a little outdoor tidbits, maybe. Golly, I gotta stop just using a touch screen. Go back to old school here. All right, quick break. Jake Bulks coming up after these few words.
I'm going to need you to take a seat over there, please.
Ringfest 24, this Friday and Saturday, at Lasker's across from Oakwood Mall.
Schedule appointments at laskers.com.
What's on Tap? Brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Rooting for the Brew Crew, because we're from Milwaukee too. Tastes like Miller time. Add Brewers games to your after-school plans with the $9 student special tickets, courtesy of UW Credit Union. Every weekday, high school and college students score Brewers tickets for as low as $9. Get yours at brewers.com/students. Milwaukee Brewers baseball and Miller Lite.
Skilled trade workers are the backbone of every community, and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers trained to keep the power flowing, engines running, and in every other trade needed to accomplish the mission. These soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
At Toyson Ford, the word of the month is FlexBuy. Finance a new 2024 F-150 XLT or STX with FlexBuy and get 2.9% for 66 months plus $3,500 in rebates. It's the cheapest way to get into America's best-selling truck for 47 years. SUV more your style? Try the 2024 Ford Escape with 1.9% FlexBuy financing for 66 months and get $2,500 in rebates. Stop in and deal with the experts and see the Valley's best choice in Toyson.
I'm Kamala Harris. Here's a few things I believe. Middle-class families, like the one I grew up in, they want common sense solutions. You want lower prices and lower taxes. I believe you want to just not get by, but you want to get ahead. We must create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to get a car loan, buy a home, start a business. And I believe we can make that happen.
Kamala Harris's plan? Bring down costs by cracking down on corporate price gougers. Make homeownership more affordable for families. A middle-class tax cut for 100 million Americans. And make sure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share so you can keep more of the money you've earned.
Instead of being focused on the politics of the past, we need to be thinking about the future and how we make it better for families like yours. I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
It's a great time to save big on everything for your next project at Menards. Get free estimates fast on new energy-efficient windows from JELD-WEN. Choose from vinyl or wood windows and customize the perfect size and unique features for your home. Save big on all JELD-WEN windows today. View our entire selection of JELD-WEN windows on Menards.com. Plus, the weekly flyer for other great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
He doesn't just talk sports, he knows sports. In fact, he and sports are best friends. I saw the two of them last night knocking back a couple of cold ones. The Dan Casper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Get your tailgating supplies. Maybe if you're going to the Blue Gold game this weekend at Carson Park and going to be doing a little tailgating, get all your supplies over at our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Whether maybe you're getting some food, some snacks, or you need some apparel to support some of your favorite teams like the Blue Gold or maybe some of the local high schools and such, check out their sports shop over at Hy-Vee. Your tailgating headquarters is at Hy-Vee. All right. Let's do it right now. Let's do some outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes this morning.
Answering your questions and giving you the tips you need to be successful and safe in the outdoors. It's time for your outdoor tidbits. Have a question you'd like answered by Jake? Send it to us, and we'll ask for you.
It is beginning to be a very busy time in the great outdoors with fall coming up right around the corner here and hunting seasons opening up left and right. We've got the archery season opening up this weekend too, so perfect time to catch up with our good friend, Mr. Jake Boakes. Jake, how you doing this morning, buddy?
It is another nice Thursday, nice and sunny, and another good day, so I'm doing pretty good.
Absolutely, man. Hey, before we get to a little some bow hunting talk here with the opener coming up here, we got a couple questions from listeners here this morning. First off, a fishing one. Texter had asked, is it all right to use a smallmouth bass as bait for muskie? Example would be soaking it in the water with a large bobber. And what are the rules in general of using live bait?
Yeah, so when it comes to game fish and using them for bait, you can use it for bait, but it has to be following the length limit restrictions and like the daily bag. So if you wanted to use a smallmouth, then hypothetically, or not even hypothetically, but legally, you'd have to catch that fish on that lake that day, and it would have to be a 14-inch smallmouth bass unless it's a lake with like a different size regulation for smallmouth. And you would count it as part of your daily bag as well. So I don't know about a 14-inch bass being on a bobber though. So it'd be a hard thing to use for bait potentially. You can't just catch like a 6-8-incher and throw her on there.
Right, exactly. So okay, there we go. And then we got a late one come in here about with bears here. What are the reasons behind pulling the 2 teeth on a black bear once harvested?
So I guess, unfortunately, I'm not the biologist. I haven't dug in too deep on the exact reason for it. I know a lot of it has to do with age and health.
Okay.
For the reason they collect them. It's just another way, we do it a lot with fur-bearing animals, otters, bobcats, fishers. It's a good way just in general, because it's hard to go and just grab a bear and test it, or even find car kill ones and do some research on them, because they're obviously in different shapes. So as part of like the regulations and hunting processes, they just basically use it as a way to just gather some data And in this case, it's I think it's primarily like age and some of the health of the bear.
Gotcha. All right. So with the opener coming up this weekend with bow season, question I had, Jake, was so we know you can use your compound bow. You got crossbows out there. For I guess a reminder too, if you have like an archery license, but you want to go to a crossbow, you gotta get the crossbow license, but it's like $3 if you already have an archery license, correct?
Right. It's just I think they call it like a archery or a crossbow upgrade, depending on which one you buy first. So
Okay.
$3 in addition, and then you can hunt with both of them.
And that was kind of my next question. Is it if I get both of those, could one day I decide to go with my compound bow, then the next day go with a crossbow? Can you have both of them on you, or what's the
Yeah.
rules with that?
Yeah, so basically you could switch them off every day. You could do one in the morning, one in the evening. However you want to do it, that's fine. You can bring them both out in the stand or the blind with you if you want. The key to it is that, in Wisconsin, we have an archery season where you get your one archery buck tag and how many ever harvest antlerless tags, and then you have your gun. So it doesn't matter what weapon you're using, respectively, as long as it's archery or as long as it's gun, you just get one tag. So it's not like you get two buck tags now that you have an archery and a crossbow. You don't get two buck tags or gun tags because you're using a muzzle loader and a rifle. It's like you get one gun, one bow. Whichever one you harvest it with is fine. It just counts towards that one harvest authorization.
How busy is like the opening weekend of bow season for you guys? Or I mean, because it's still fairly warm out there. So
Oh yeah.
I mean, is there still a lot of hunters that go out there? Or is it a little bit later on when it starts to pick up a little bit?
I would say it's definitely probably the busiest weekend for like September, unless the weather really. Everyone, myself included, is excited to go out there, or you've been running your food plots, or you've been out scouting and running cameras. So you want to get out there the first chance you get. So we do tend to see a few more hunters this opening weekend, and then there might be a little dip in the next couple weekends, especially if it's hot, because there's just the deer is still kind of more nocturnal and such. But then they'll pick up for sure in October. But if the weather, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be 80 for the next weekend. But say it did drop to 60s during the day, 40s in the night, then we might see some animals moving a little bit more.
Jake, with bow season, maybe just a couple of reminders or clarifications too. Say you hit one and you're tracking and it goes on somebody else's property. What's the proper way to go about that? Is it because if you shot it on yours, you can go on that property? Do you still need the landowner's permission? How should a hunter go about that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question and a good reminder. So in Wisconsin, private property is pretty well restricted unless you have prior authorization to be on private property, whether it's like a closed public land, like closed county land, where it's actually like they have it marked as closed, or it's private property, which in most cases it's private property. You have to have permission from that landowner or the person that manages that property to go on there. So there's no law that exempts someone to break, the trespassing rule in order to track a deer or an animal, or for law enforcement for that matter to go track a deer or track an animal. So I know we've talked about it before, so if people are listening and this sounds repetitive, I apologize, but it's one of the most important things is that before you go hunting, even if you don't have the best relationship with your neighbors, it's a good idea to try to at least swing by and explain that you're hunting and tell them what your plan is, and if a deer goes across, ask them if it's all right to get it, or if they would prefer if you would call or text them or whatnot, because most landowners don't want a deer just to rot on their property and stuff like that. So most landowners will allow you, even if you're not the best buds, to go get it, but they want some sort of the respect to have that hunter give them a call or give them a text or do whatever they ask for prior to them going on their property.
So I might as well ask you this because I feel like we're going to get this a lot throughout hunting season here. So we might as well maybe hit it up here. the whole drone question again. Yeah, drones, but also, is it legal to use dogs to track, like if you hit a deer and track the blood trail of that deer?
Yeah, so nothing's changed too much on from last year on all of that. So if like you got a good understanding of drones and dogs from last year, you should be comfortable operating it this year. But dogs are still legal. You just can't have firearms with you. Drones are still legal. It's just there's a lot more nuance to it. What I try to tell everyone is that if you're gonna recover a deer with a drone, especially if it's your own deer, you need to really separate yourself from the hunting process and the finding process, as in like finding using the drone. So like, there's no reason to have your gun anywhere near you or anything like that. You have to have a good justifiable reason why the deer is dead. You can't use a drone to find a deer if you don't have like good blood. If you don't think that deer is dead, then you shouldn't be using a drone because you're basically hunting with the aid of an aircraft at that point. But if you shot it and you got a lot of blood, or there's bubbles, or there's whatever that implies that deer is probably dead, but it's in a thicket, or it probably ran for a while and you're having trouble locating where it went. If you can justify why it's dead and you're separating yourself from the hunting process, those are all different things that wardens take into account when we're like checking people and making sure that they're not using it for scouting or tracking or something more nefarious than just trying to recover a dead deer. I would really just, if you're going to do it, especially if you're going to do it in a business aspect, I would encourage them to call the local warden. I get calls on it every year, and it's good just to kind of talk through it, because we have a big, like, kind of like an outline on what wardens are looking at and what's good, what's bad, and it's good to talk through it with your local warden so we're all on the same page of what you're doing when you're out there.
Yeah, because it seems like that could be kind of a subjective decision that could create a little hard feelings between the hunter and the warden.
It definitely could be. In our like guidance, there's a lot of like there's a lot of examples of there's nothing that's super black and white except for things like you can't use it while you're hunting, like you can't use it to aid in your hunt, or you can't use, if your drone has a spotlight on it, you can't use that spotlight after 10 o'clock at night to like identify dead deer or live deer or anything, because that breaks the shining law. So there are some black and white, but there are a lot of there's a lot of guidance on how to help a hunter or a drone operator separate themselves from the hunting process. And what we look at, like, okay, you're clearly not using this legally because you can justify why you think the deer is dead, and you don't have a gun, and you're not the hunter of the deer, and all these different things that can help us differentiate between legal and illegal use.
Jake, you mentioned, I was just actually going to ask you the shining law there too, because I got to imagine this is probably, big time too, where everybody's driving around for that. Can you just kind of maybe just to give us a little bit of a reminder of what those are?
Yeah. So pretty simple in the sense of like, for most of the year, except from September 15th through December 31st, so the end of the year. So anytime besides like the fall, you can shine for deer year round. Any time of the day, any time of the night, and as long as you're on a legal road, you can shine the ditches, shine the fields. And we strongly encourage you not to be shining people's houses or cattle or horses or stuff like that. But you can go do it from September 15th through the end of the year. You cannot shine deer from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So shining deer, is using a spotlight is what most people think of. But even something to the effect of like, you're going out hunting, it's 4 a.m, you see some deer in the field, so you turn your truck lights to see what you got out there. Even if it's kind of unintentional, or not unintentional, but even if you're not doing it in a nefarious way, if you deliberately turn your truck lights to shine deer at 4 or 5 in the morning during the ban, then not only are you shining wild animals during the close hours, but you probably, if you're going hunting, you probably have a weapon in your car. So that'd be a crime now for shining while in possession of a firearm or bow or weapon. So just something to be cognizant about.
Yeah, that's a good
And a lot
reminder.
of this, yeah, and a lot of it stems from a lot of it just stems from like just historical poaching activity in the nights, and that's just what a lot of people do and what we're out watching for. And if you get pulled over for it, or if you make a mistake, we can tell if it's an accident or you didn't know, or ignorance, or if it's someone that's up to illegal poaching activity. So we're pretty good at fleshing that out.
Mhm. Did you have any more, intern? You're good.
No.
Okay, so
I'm
no.
good. It's interesting listening to this because I'll tell you, you hear that shining, and some guys have it perfected, and others just do it for fun. And are you in violation? You better know.
I think it's a good reminder too with the time limits from 10 p.m. and
Yes.
into the morning during
Yeah,
hunting
that's the
season
first
too.
I've heard
So
that.
yeah, so
Yeah, and there are a few counties, Buffalo, Chippewa, and I think Eau Claire wants to, but I don't think they have yet. But some counties can make I think Manitowoc or Sheboygan has it, where they can make a county ordinance that restricts the timing as well. So some of them are a little bit earlier, like 9 or 9:30. So just something to be aware of when you're in different counties.
Absolutely.
Shining's fun. I got nothing against it. There's some really good people that do it and stuff, and it's a fun pastime and tradition, but it's just you got to follow the rules. Ruining it for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of those lights they use are bright enough to light up a baseball field.
100%. Well, and that's the other thing is that's why I kind of mentioned on it. Sometimes we get complaints, and some farmers or landowners won't even keep your shining in their fields, but it's the fact that they don't turn the lights off when they go by houses, or they shine cattle, and the cattle get all spooked, or the horses get spooked at 1 or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever, 8 o'clock, and that's where we get extra calls for people kind of being disorderly for their property.
Probably where half those UFO calls come from, thinking
Probably
somebody's
do.
getting abducted. So
Probably is, like you said, those bright lights. When you see someone points those up to the sky, and all of a sudden you see white lights flying around. You're not familiar with it. It does look pretty interesting.
Yep. He's Jake Boakes, our conservation warden friend. As always, here every Thursday morning, dude. Appreciate it as always. Thanks for answering our questions from listeners. Be safe out there, and we'll catch up with you again next week, okay?
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Appreciate you guys having me on, and good luck to everyone that's bow season and hunting season, like you mentioned right at the start. It's getting busy, and this is the time to be out. So good luck to everyone.
Absolutely. Well said. There you go. Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the great state of Wisconsin.
And I haven't been a bow hunter for a long time. Is there a clothing regulation like there is orange for deer hunting?
The only time,
Camouflage, pretty much.
the only time you'd have to wear orange is if the youth hunt is going on
Yeah.
while you're bow hunting and such. Then you still need your orange or pink, those colors out there too. So, all right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll do some picks and predicts here this morning to wrap up this Thursday morning. We'll be back in just a few minutes. You want to talk about a really cool service? So one of our partners, not only for the Man Cave podcast, but the mobile Man Cave, Toys and Ford over there.
Mhm.
We had to take the sports mobile Man Cave in just to go for look-see and all that sort of stuff. They came and picked it up for us. I didn't have to drive it over there.
What a deal.
That's nice service over there
I
for
bet it is.
Toys and Ford. So if you need some service done or you're looking for a new vehicle and such, go give our friends at Toys and Ford a look-see over there. That's fantastic customer service.
Well, I'll tell you,
over
that
there.
neighborhood where they're at up in Chippewa has grown up. isn't it?
Oh,
Now
my
you get up
goodness.
there with all the festival and the quick trip and coffee shops and everything
Yep.
else up there. They were there kind of all by themselves for a while.
They got some new neighbors now.
Yeah,
so.
they do, and lots of neighbors.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Hey, before we get to some picks, some news. Do you remember former Bucks player Junior Bridgman?
Very well.
He's now part owner of the Bucks, apparently.
Is he really? He played at Louisville, I believe, in college.
He is buying a 10% share of the team. It's being reported. Yeah, 10% stake.
Buy out Aaron Rodgers? Or what?
I think Aaron only had 1% over
really?
there. I think. Don't quote me, but yeah, he's buying a 10% stake in the Milwaukee Bucks, according to sources. The transaction will value the team at $4 billion, so he's getting a discount apparently. Preferred limited partner discount of 15% or at $3.4 billion valuation. So you can do the math there and figure out how much he's paying to be a part of that ownership over there. So he's reported to have a net worth of more than $600 million after finding success in a variety of businesses ranging from fast food chains to being a Coca-Cola bottling distributor. He also owns, I believe, a couple magazines over there too. So he's hit it big in the business world after
Good for
his
him.
playing
He's
here.
a good player.
So yeah, he's going to be a part of that. The other three ownership groups, as we know, the Haslams, West Edens, and such. The three ownership groups have a 25% stake in the team. So yeah, can do the math over there and figure that out. So, but
I wonder if he'll be a silent owner, if he'll be part of some decision making.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But that's kind of cool to see a former Bucks player.
I know. I wonder
get
where
into
I
it.
wonder where he lives. I don't think he lives in Milwaukee because you never hear him in the news or anything around the state. So I'm not sure where he lives, but he had a run with the Bucks. And he was very good.
Yeah, he's the current owner of Ebony and Jet magazines. So,
Oh wow.
but all right, I just saw that pop up on social media over there. So let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. Looking for somewhere to catch some of the games, whether it's baseball, football, all that good stuff. Head on over to the Elbow Room. Join in on some fantastic conversation with a bunch of good people over there and take in some of those games there. Let's start off with a little Thursday night football. We've got the Bills traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins in an AFC East showdown.
Oh, that could be really a good game tonight. Boy, I don't know. I'm going to take Buffalo.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I'm going to go with the Dolphins with their speed out there.
Yeah, they got a lot of speed, and if they can get her together, they're tough. But
Mhm.
I'm going to go with Buffalo.
All right, let's move over to the baseball world, shall we? We've got a few games today. Let's start off with, the Red Sox at the Yankees to begin a series.
The Yankees.
Yeah, I'm going to go Yankees too.
I don't
So,
think Boston's heart's in it anymore.
no. Let's do slim pickings here. Okay, Milwaukee at San Francisco. I was hoping to save that at the end, but there's really not a whole lot of other good matchups. Milwaukee at San Francisco.
They got another game in San Francisco?
Yep.
Well, they do.
Tonight. Yep.
Who's pitching?
Frankie Montas.
Yeah, I think Frankie will do a good job. I'll take the Brewers.
Yep. I'll take
Get her
the.
down to 7.
I'll take the Brewers. Yeah, because the Cubbies don't play today, so I'll take the Brewers and get that magic down to a lucky number 7 over there. Yeah, no off day. Their next off day is until the 23rd of September. It's all straight through coming up here. So this will be the third game of the series between the Brewers and the Giants there. So, I mean, if we want to throw one there, we got Cincinnati versus St. Louis. If you want to do a little NL Central pick over there.
I'm going to take Cincinnati.
Jacob Junis is getting a start, former Brewer.
Yeah. Cincinnati's been kind of disappointing. Well, St. Louis. St. Louis has been up and down. When I saw them earlier in the year, I thought they were a minor league team. They weren't very good at all, and then caught a little fire and became a little better, but then they kind of faltered again. So, and Cincinnati never really got it rolling this year.
Right.
But I'll take Cincinnati. Ellie De La Cruz is a fun guy to watch play.
I'm going to go with Cincinnati too on this one. Why not? Let's
Yeah,
go.
man.
Let's go with the Reds there. So, all right, that's it for our picks and predicts here this morning. We'll know more. Maybe probably not know more. I shouldn't say about the status of Jordan Love maybe today, but I kind of backtracking. I don't think we will know more about the status of Jordan Love today. So
Because LaFleur, they don't have a scheduled press conference every day, do they?
yeah, during
Oh,
the
they
season they do.
Oh, they
So he'll
do.
be talking today. But again, I would be surprised if he
I don't
seems to
think
be the
he'll
dude
commit. He
that
won't
really
commit.
holds, tries to play that. He really holds stuff close to his chest and doesn't really try to reveal
The
too much.
Bill Belichick model of press conferences.
Mm-hmm. I got a feeling we're going to see these two words quite a bit today. We'll see.
Probably right.
We'll see. So, but all eyes will be paid attention to social media and all the beat reporters who will be there to see if Love is out there or not. But they'll be back at it today. They were pretty healthy yesterday. Everybody participated in practice besides Jordan Love. So that was one thing I did notice coming out of that game. They seemed to be pretty healthy outside of Jordan Love. Everybody came through.
Yeah, and
So,
that's a good thing. And hopefully they're getting in their groove. And now they got playing a game. I think, it shouldn't be this way, but it just seemed like they weren't in sync. Hopefully they're in sync now.
mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So, and as we mentioned, the Brewers are going to be at it tonight, 8:45. Before I let you go, though, I know you're not going to the game.
Oh, by 25.
Okay, I didn't even have to finish that. Alabama wins by 25.
Yeah, I just, and I hope I'm dead wrong, but I just watched this quarterback and he's late with the throws. His feet are not good. He's kind of a stumble bum. I mean, he really, if he'd have played on that surface in Brazil, he'd have been on his knees most of the night. But he's got an opportunity to move the ball with his feet, and he just doesn't have good feet. I don't know what the problem is, but and they don't have, like I said, they don't have the speed. I hope I'm dead wrong, but I've seen them play twice, and they haven't been impressive. The lines haven't been that good. I don't think our defensive backs are big enough or fast enough to stay, because they didn't stay with South Dakota the other day. South Dakota did a lot of work in the passing game, and they completed a lot of big passes, and I'm just afraid Alabama's going to run right by them.
All right.
But I've been wrong before.
Can you imagine, though, if they pull that off?
Oh, my goodness.
Wouldn't you love to be down there?
Oh, would I ever.
You wouldn't be getting out until Tuesday, probably.
I'll be down there for more than just a weekend.
All right, DP and Danettes, they're up next. Have a good rest of your Thursday. We'll wrap things up this week tomorrow morning, just past 6. Talk to you then.